Oh, last time.
I'm glad he clarified what was coming after 5.
Yeah.
Count you down from 5 to 10.
And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Wednesday, December 20th. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by Sleeper. We've got a 10-game slate ahead of us that is honestly pretty difficult. And now, no Jason Tatum, opening up some things for Boston. Maybe no Paul George. Lots of weird stuff going on. We're going to break it all down right now. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. Adam, how's your Wednesday?
It's good. I'm looking forward to this slate, kind of. Decent chance I end up with a bunch of players that I hate, which I'm not looking forward to that part, but it's a really interesting one, especially on DraftKings. Like FanDuel, yeah, there's not a lot of injuries today, but their pricing isn't that tight. You can just make quality lineups there. DraftKings, though, I mean, it's obviously some stuff's opening up a little bit, but this is a tough slate on DraftKings.
It really is. There's a lot of things that I'm getting right now that I would really prefer to not get. So you ready to break this one down? 10 games.
Yep.
The Utah Jazz are 5-point dogs in Cleveland, 227 total. Not a lot to break down here in this one. As we look at it, the injury report for the Jazz, kind of standard. No Jordan Clarkson, no Keontae George for Cleveland. No Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley, and we do have a Q tag on Donovan Mitchell, which is very interesting considering he is one of the better plays today that you can pay up for. At least we should get that news before this one tips off. 12% ownership coming into Colin Sexton, around 10 to Talen Horton-Tucker. I've got a little bit of Sexton, and that's about it. I just don't find this Utah side all that appealing.
Yeah, that's my expectation as well. You know, Sexton has been playing well. He's getting plenty of minutes. There's talk from Utah beat writers about if he should stay in the starting lineup once Clarkson comes back. But salaries adjusted, and the matchup isn't ideal either. Obviously, no Mobley makes Cleveland's defense a bit weaker, but it's still not an ideal spot for Utah. Sexton's the only guy really getting ownership. Horton-Tucker at 6,500, getting 9% on DraftKings as well. But if I am getting here, I would expect it to be Sexton.
Yeah, I got 7% of Sexton, 1 share of Tucker, and 1 share of Walker Kessler, and that works for me. Lauri Markkanen, 8,300 with like no Clarkson around. You would have thought that would have been a decent price for him with an MPE, and it's just he doesn't even exist on this slate.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, there we go. I wish I had more to add, but there are other places that we are going to have to spend some time, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have 6 guys, basically 10 to 15% owned. Karis LeVert, Donovan Mitchell, George Niang, Jared Allen, Max Strus, and $3,500 backup center, Tristan Thompson. I am not getting too much at all of this Cavs team. I'm even more surprised that I'm now not getting to Donovan Mitchell in the same way that I was getting to him earlier today. How are you handling this Cavs team?
Yeah, I mean, I think they look good. It's a good matchup against Utah, a weak defensive team, middle of the road in terms of pace this season. The price tags aren't bad. You know, Donovan Mitchell at 10K, Jared Allen at 7K, Strus at 6,600. They all look fine. But I think the problem is that you're getting ownership, because that's the other thing that happens when you get a slate like this where pricing is so tight. Anywhere where pricing is even off a little bit, you're just suddenly getting 15 to 20% owned guys. And it's like, okay, well, you know, yeah, Donovan Mitchell looks good here without Darius Garland, but I'm not sure that he looks good enough. I want to be playing him at 15 to 20% owned. His per minute production doesn't really change without Garland. In the 6 games he's played this year without him, 1.38 DraftKings points per minute compared to 1.29 when Garland's been active. The change is that he does on average pick up a couple of extra minutes. But, you know, he's played at least 36 in 5 of the 6 games without Garland. In the 2 that he's played recently, he's played at least 40 in regulation. But there's no guarantee he's playing 40 minutes. Even if you call it like 38 and say he's picking up a couple minutes on average, you know, yeah, that's nice, but it's not necessarily enough to warrant a big ownership bump when you're also getting a salary bump. So I think he's a good play, but you know, at that, he's getting ownership. Same goes for Allen, Strus, LeVert. We don't know what LeVert's minutes limit really is. It looked like he was off of it a couple of games ago, but then last game he plays 27 and a half minutes, doesn't get to play overtime. It's reported that the reason was a minutes limit. So can he play 33 today? Who knows? Like, we'll find out he can when he can. But at the same time, we've already seen it happen, and apparently he still wasn't supposed to be. So at 6,200, especially if Mitchell's in, it's tough to get there. You know, if Mitchell's out, you expect the production the point per minute production for Levert to increase. But as is, it's like, yeah, he's getting 15% ownership. We have him a 7% chance to be optimal. He looks fine, but I don't love that ownership. Same goes for Strus. Same goes for 12% owned Tristan Thompson with a 6% chance of being optimal. George Niang pulling 13% with a 14 fantasy point projection. You're getting double-digit ownership to guys that are projecting for less than 15 fantasy points.
Yeah, I have 5% Niang, which works for me if he's 13% owned. I don't have any Sam Merrill. I don't have any Tristan Thompson. So I am getting to Strus, Allen, Mitchell, Levert, the guys that actually have a heartbeat, but I don't have more than 9% of anybody. That is Levert at 6,200, but I would like to get a little bit more Mitchell. I do think he looks solid here against Utah, and obviously revenge narrative alert, whatever you want to do with that one. Certainly doesn't hurt me at all to think Donovan Mitchell probably wants to roast Utah, but it doesn't change anything for me. I will not be rostering Tristan Thompson and Sam Merrill, though. No, thank you.
Same page. I assume.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that DM. Anything else for Cleveland?
No.
Actually, no, we got to stop here. If Donovan Mitchell is out, what are we doing here? We're just jamming Craig Porter, right?
I'll say Porter would kind of he'd have to look better. His salary's dropped to 4,400. He had been up over 5K recently. The playing time for him will kind of just have to be there. Like, you're running out of playmakers.
Yeah.
Like, guys that can play with the ball in their hands. You're down to basically him and Levert at that point. So he would need to play a lot. It would increase the chances of them being lax with Levert's minutes limit, I would think. Don't know, exactly what that means, but I would say if Mitchell's out, there's a better chance of getting a lot of minutes for Levert. His point per minute production should certainly start to look better if Mitchell is out. So I would like that. But then it kind of gets to when you think about the way these other guys play, is there more usage available for somebody like Max Strus or Jared Allen? Sure, but that's not really what they do. So, it's tough to assign a lot of that to them, which again goes back to Levert and Porter probably being heavily involved offensively. I don't think Mitchell being out is a bad thing for Strus or Allen, but I just don't know how much it actually helps.
If Mitchell is out, I think Craig Porter and Sam Merrill become two of the highest owned dudes on the slate.
Yeah, Merrill. Yeah, good call on Merrill too.
They have to be. They're going to play. You slot those guys in for 22. Let's just say you want to do 22 minutes and be pessimistic. They're going to look immediately a lot better than they do currently. And I think you're probably going a lot higher than 22 on both of them, at which point I don't know how you get away from it. Even if you want to be pessimistic, say 28 Porter starts, plays 28 minutes, 0.85 fantasy points per minute. We'll be ultra pessimistic. That's 23.8 fantasy points in 28 minutes at 4,400. 5.4x. We already just don't have if we're getting Tristan Thompson, if we're already getting 8% ownership to Sam Merrill, these guys are going to fly off the page because there's no other value.
Yeah, I agree. And in the case of Merrill, I would actually start wanting to get there.
Yeah. But if Mitchell is in, I find this Cleveland team to be way less interesting than the ownership shows.
It's just a weird spot to talk about because I think they are one of the more interesting teams. It's just that the field's projected to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it before, kind of the way that I think about it on slates like this is the field is still going to end up sort of landing on the same plays and driving up ownership somewhere. But on a slate like this, where pricing's really tight and you don't have a lot of guys out, it's more so this guy projects 1.5 points better than everybody around him, so we're all going to play him. And the range of outcomes is the same. On other slates where you have a lot of guys ruled out, for example, like the Isaiah Jackson slate or Zach Collins yesterday, it's not, Zach Collins projects 1 point better than all the other 5K guys. It's Zach Collins projects 10 points better than all the other 5K guys, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's sort of the thing is you're not going to see the same level of concentrated ownership. You're still going to get the field just getting to the guys that project slightly better, but they're just the range of outcomes is so similar to other players around them.
The Charlotte Hornets are 9.5 point underdogs in Indiana, 247 total. For the Hornets, Gordon Hayward, probable. Mark Williams, doubtful. So about what we've been getting as of late. 10% ownership to Brandon Miller is the high mark. He's a little bit more owned on FanDuel, 32% in fact, where he's 5,800 instead of the $6,500 price tag we have on DK. Single digits to everybody else. I'm happy to get any shares of any of the starters. I don't have much. I have a lot less of Richards now. I have very minimal PJ Washington now, but I don't mind getting any of them because this game environment is amazing.
Yeah, it is. I feel the same way about this team that I did this morning, where other than the exact 10% coming into Brandon Miller, it's 10% or less on guys in a really, really good spot. And the reason you're not getting a lot of ownership on any of them is sort of the opposite of what I was just saying about somebody like Donovan Mitchell, where these guys from a median standpoint don't project that well. They're not the highest scoring they're not the highest projected players. They're not the best point per dollar values. So they're kind of just getting ignored. But you're talking about a game that's going to have so many possessions. There's just so much volatility here, so much upside for these guys. And so it does make it interesting from a tournament standpoint, at relatively low ownership. I'm not getting a lot of it right now. Nick Richards is my highest owned guy at 15%. He's projected for 9% Washington, 8% Miller, 6% Hayward. As usual, I had 30% Rozier this morning, and I'm now down to 1%. I really liked the Rozier play, but I'm just not really getting it right now. But whatever I do get to from the Charlotte side, I like at low ownership because there's just such a high ceiling because of the number of possessions that should be available in this game.
I wish I had a little bit more. Like I wish I had my PJ Washington back for the same reason you wish you had your Terry Rozier back. I just don't.
Yeah. And just to quickly double back to the last game, 22% Donovan Mitchell for me is the high mark from the Cleveland side. 7% Levert is next. So I'm not getting a lot of Cleveland overall, but I am getting Mitchell. On the Utah side, I am actually getting to 19% Horton Tucker along with 11% Sexton. So the two guys on Utah that are getting ownership, I am either around the field or a little bit over.
The Indiana Pacers are getting 16% ownership to Bruce Brown, 12% to Buddy Hield, but we are flying pretty blind for these guys. Q tag on Jalen Smith, who has been out for a while. Q tag on Miles Turner, and then we don't have Andrew Nembhard still. About 15% ownership to Hield and Bruce Brown are the only guys pulling any ownership. But this has the potential to be a real mess. Let's start with the Bruce Brown, Buddy Hield dynamic. They are the only two guys that are really getting any ownership. I prefer Buddy Hield in like a pretty significant way to Bruce Brown, but they are very similar plays.
Yeah, they are very similar. I also am getting more Buddy Hield. I have 18% Hield. I only have 4% Bruce Brown. Right now, we're projecting the field to get to 16% Brown, 12% Hield. So yeah, I'm over on Hield and not really getting to Bruce Brown. I think he's fine. Point guard, small forward, 5,600. But he is projected to be a bit overowned, whereas we have Hield projected to be underowned, $200 more. Shooting guard, small forward. So he's the one I'm getting to. I'm not getting to much else. On DraftKings right now, I have about 6% Jalen Smith, 6% Miles Turner, the 4% Brown that I mentioned. Jalen Smith's a huge wild card, not only because him and Turner are both questionable, but even just assuming that him and Turner are in, a big wild card because we have no idea what these minutes are going to look like. Is he going to just become the backup center again and Isaiah Jackson goes back to the bench? Are they going to play him alongside Isaiah Jackson? Are they going to split backup center minutes, in which case, they don't look very good anyway? The upside is that we don't have value today, and Jalen Smith is $4,000 and like a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy. So there is a ceiling there, but the minutes range is like literally 0 to 18.
Yeah. I have no idea what to do there, and I don't feel like I should be making the choice of maybe I should get the backup center for the Pacers. Now, what I think gets really interesting is if Smith is in and Turner is out.
Right, because then you assume Smith is playing backup behind Isaiah Jackson or starting. One or the other, they'll tell us. But
I feel like he has to sort of be in for 18 minutes at a minimum at that point.
Right, you would.
From a projection standpoint. And at that point, it's just like, cool, 4K center, get that Andre Drummond shit out of here. Get the Tristan Thompson shit out of here, and now we could actually do it. But unless, if we get all three of them in, I am running away from Jalen Smith because I don't trust it.
Right, and if Turner is out, Isaiah Jackson at 5,700 becomes a play as well, assuming he's starting.
Yeah, $5,700 Isaiah Jackson is still a great play
on this slate in this matchup.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as if we do just assume they're all in. Like I said, I have 6 to 7% Jalen Smith right now. That is fine with me. I don't want, I talked about this in the lineup generator video. Like he was just showing up like 90% of the time this afternoon. I was like, that's something that I would be actively cutting back because I understand why he's showing up. He's a high upside guy at low ownership, but you have to account for the fact that he could legitimately play 0 minutes.
Yeah. Very live for that. If Turner's in, I'll have a little bit, nothing crazy, just great game to get it. Yep. But everything comes down to that news. By the way, Robert Covington officially ruled out for the Philadelphia 76ers today.
Yeah, that's that team's going to start to be a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I think he probably just becomes Daniel House for right now. And the question will become, does Marcus Morris get ruled out?
Right.
Wendell Carter Jr. will start today. Shocked. Didn't think that he'd start coming off of that broken bone in his non-shooting hand.
Oh my God, I hate the players I'm getting to today.
Yeah. Anything else for the Pacers?
I like them
think
more
we
than I
that
did this
pretty well.
morning. But
Okay. I don't like mine more. So
no, I don't have anything else there. This is just a game where I think it's a great tournament game because obviously there's so many possessions and so little ownership. It's another example of, we had it the other day where somebody's kind of commented like in chat, this game has a 260 total. How is nobody being played from this game? But it's just the pricing is where it should be on both sides. But that doesn't mean that it's not a really, really fun game to get to, because the pricing being where it should be is just going to keep people away.
Hit that like button if you're here. To the 1,500 or so people, run that number up if we can. NBA Live before lock coming up next. They'll take you from 6 all the way until lock. No other live content for you tonight. No NFL. That'll be tomorrow. I assume there's a Thursday night football game tomorrow. What I also assume is that you guys want to use our avatar on DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, Owner's Box. And you could do that by going to stokastic.com/avatar, grab our logo, load it up, because if you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries, you get 1 month of whatever package you want at Stokastic. That's a $200 value. If you want the NBA package, it's projections, ownership, boom bust, contest generator, and the Sims tool, all for 0 cost to you. You don't have to do any work. Once you load that picture up, you're good to go. The only thing you really have to do, and this isn't actual work, tweet at Stokastic HOF with a screenshot of your victory. Present yourself to the world as being successful, and we will present it back to everybody else and give you the reward of a Stokastic sub. So again, link in the description or in chat. Miami Heat, 5-point dogs in Orlando, 219 total. We have no Jimmy Butler in this one, and surprisingly, that doesn't create anything. 2% ownership to Kyle Lowry. It's the highest owned guy for Miami. That's all I have as well. Bam Adebayo is 9,500. Tyler Hero is 8,800. You getting to any Miami?
Really tough to get to them in general. Not an appealing matchup against Orlando. 2% Lowry is all I'm getting to on DraftKings. There is, as usual, a pretty big pricing difference between DraftKings and FanDuel. Hero in particular is like 1,200 less on FanDuel. So get 7,600 there is fine, but still not any sort of a priority. On DraftKings, though, where Bam is 9,500, Hero's 8,800, Martin and Jaquez are north of 7K. The only price that looks like remotely interesting to me is Lowry at 5,900. And like I said, even that, he leads the way at 2.5% chance of being optimal, 1.5% ownership. I have 2%. This team could just fall off the slate and I wouldn't notice.
Yes, I agree. Orlando cannot fall off the slate and I wouldn't notice, at least for one particular player here. We had Wendell Carter at 16% ownership. I have no idea what that is actually going to be, but I know what mine is going to be, and that is well north of 16% ownership. What are you doing with Wendell Carter Jr.?
Yeah, I have 34% right now.
Okay.
That has come down since this morning. I think Hartenstein probably has something to do with that. I mean, we have him at 16% to be owned. We have his optimal percentage at 8.5%. So we actually have him going over owned, which is a little surprising to me. But like, we have
in how many minutes?
26, which this is where it gets tough because I have no confidence he's only playing 26 minutes.
Neither do I.
Or sorry, no, we have 24 now.
Okay.
Which I think probably comes back up.
You would think. We have no reason to suspect he is not going to play like a normal starter today.
Agreed.
I don't care that they are going to monitor his minutes. That is the most irrelevant sentence you could possibly read when you're trying to break this kind of stuff down. There isn't a points prop or anything on him on DraftKings, so I don't know what else could exist out there, but I have 88%. I will be jamming Wendell Carter Jr. because I think he's live to play 30 or 31 minutes if this game just is competitive.
Yeah, this is a spot that I'm actually pretty likely to adjust myself between now and lock. Because, like, to me, 28, 29 minutes just makes a lot more sense than him being limited. Like, it should just be fully a conditioning thing here. And expecting, 28 minutes is a very reasonable expectation. It's not like you're asking him to do a lot.
I dropped him to 27 just to try to be realistic and see what would happen, and I got 88%. Like I'm not going any other direction other than making sure that I have 100%. I love it. What else are you getting for Orlando, though? Banchero is here at 8K, power forward eligible, 7,700 for Franz. I don't have much of the rest of this team, but I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I don't have much either. I do have one really questionable play. I'm getting the 14% Jonathan Isaac, who is getting 4% ownership. He's 4,400. I think this is just at least he's not named Sam Merrill or George Niang play. Like, he's no different than those guys. He projects about the same. He also very easily by lock could just not be in any of my lineups, but right now I have 14% of him. And from that standpoint, I don't mind it. Like, I understand why he's showing up, and it's because there's no value on this slate, and the value people are going to play also sucks. But
if Tristan Thompson's going to be over 10% owned and you can get the power forward eligibility for Isaac, it's the same play.
Right, exactly. So I understand it from that standpoint, even though clearly I don't like it. Other than that, though, getting a little bit of Banchero, a little bit of Suggs, a little bit of Anthony and Wagner, but Wendell Carter is the clear priority for me here.
Yeah, I could not be more in for Wendell Carter Jr. So I really hope nothing happens to like change this and get me away from it. I don't think that'll happen, but I want to make sure, like, I just want to play him like I've been saying all day. Like, I don't want Turner to get ruled out, Jalen Smith be the name the starter, and all of a sudden, like, I'm chopping this in half, and then Carter goes out there and plays 31 minutes, and I just want to smash everybody. All right. Anything else for Orlando?
No.
The Minnesota Timberwolves are 3.5-point dogs in Philadelphia, 226 total. Philly is without Nick Batum and Robert Covington, and we are still waiting on the Q tag for Marcus Morris. 11% ownership to Kyle Anderson is the highest owned guy for Minnesota. I don't have a single share of a Wolf today. Do you?
Yeah, I have 3% of Kyle Anderson and I have 4% of Mike Conley. So not much. Very difficult team to get to. Kyle Anderson, like you said, showing up 11%. He's just another guy where he's sub 4K. He does have MPE, which is nice, but he's just getting ownership because like there's no good plays and people are just like, he projects slightly better and people are just landing there. But I can find plenty of other 4 to 5K guys that are bad if that's the route people are going to go.
I don't have anything else to add. I want to watch this game. Minnesota Philly seems like a fantastic game to check out. 2 of the top 4 teams in net rating on dunks and threes. But from a DFS perspective, the Minnesota side is a very tough sell. I don't have anything else for the Wolves, so I'm going to keep it moving. Efficiency today, man. Efficiency.
Yeah, Philadelphia. Every team has 0 good plays.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. Philadelphia 76ers highest owned guy is DeAnthony Melton at 9%. Anthony, that is not what that tweet said, but thanks for that. No ownership coming into the rest of Philly. I would love to get to Joel Embiid. I'm getting real tired of not getting him and then watching him go absolutely insane during these 7:00 games. But I have a different pay up option that I am getting a lot of, and it's not him. So I have a little bit of Melton and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to get to Embiid. Melton's the guy I'm getting. I have 27% right now. I hate it, but 5,700, 9% owned, point guard, shooting guard. The playing time should be there for him. The matchup obviously sucks, but not like he's a scoring dependent guy. So I guess that sort of helps when you're going against the best defense in the NBA. You're more so just hoping that he's out there for around 30 minutes and runs into random stats, which also isn't the best feeling for somebody that you're playing. But again, this slate, just being in that price range is going to make you look pretty good. I'm not getting to anything else right now. 1% Oubre, 1% Embiid. If you are getting to Embiid, I think you probably do it on DraftKings where he's less expensive than Luka. On FanDuel, he's 12.9 and you only have 1 center spot. Makes it as close to impossible to get to him as it's ever going to be. But he's been the best point per minute guy in the league this year. 1.89 DraftKings points per minute. Over the last 30 days, he's at 2.05. Like, if you can find a way to make it work, great. It's going to be much easier to find a way to make it work on DraftKings than FanDuel, and it's still extremely hard on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'd love it. I would love it, but it feels so not feasible today. Okay, let's say Marcus Morris happens to be out. We already know there's no Nick Batum. We already know that there is no Robert Covington. Do we get anybody else that starts to look interesting? Do we start having a conversation about a $3,900 Daniel House?
I was thinking more along the lines of Kelly Oubre.
I already have him at 30 minutes, and I'm not really getting to him, so I don't have too much more there. But if I start giving House 18 to 20, like at, call it even just 0.85, like that's a price tag in a position that we don't really have on this slate right now.
Yeah. Would KJ Martin start to be kind of interesting? Like he's
probably not because they seem to hate him.
Yeah, my thinking was just like Daniel House is a horrible point per minute guy. So you're hoping that he gets the bulk of those minutes, but then it's still Daniel House. Whereas like I think he is more likely to get the bulk of the minutes than Martin. But if I'm wrong and Martin gets it, at least he's probably scoring fantasy points.
They've been so loath to use him.
Yeah. They kind of they played him sort of a surprising amount when they were shorthanded before, though. Like he took minutes from Covington in the Covington chalk game, if I remember right.
He played 17 minutes on the 29th with Embiid out and Oubre out. He played 13 with Maxey, Embiid, Batum, and Oubre out. Like I think Korkmaz is probably in front of him.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they're just moving Harris to the 4 more at that point. And like we can quibble over this. I have House and Martin as basically the same play per minute.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going from memory, but I thought Martin was like 0.75, 0.8 in the past, and House was like
it probably doesn't help that like House's sample is ultra low as of late.
Right.
But I have him at 0.84 and I have Martin at 0.84 as well.
Okay, yeah, that's where I thought Martin was. I did not think House was there.
Apparently. And in the, I don't know, 59 minutes that House has played in the past month, he's at 0.95.
0.68 over the course of the last 3 seasons.
That makes sense to me. I think he's just aggressively regressing to the mean when I don't have anything, like when I haven't paid attention to anything that I needed to pay attention for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So over the course of the last 3 seasons, it's 0.83 for Martin, 0.68 for House. So that's pretty much along the lines of what I was thinking, where it's like I agree completely that Martin is more or less buried, but he's the one where it's like if the minutes work out in your favor, it's easiest to see him actually succeeding. But I still agree that House would.
When you mentioned Oubre, like he certainly looks a lot better if you get another guy out. Like it's just more potential for him to play more, but I don't think we're going to get a lot.
Like Melton's playing time goes up as guys get ruled out. Like he's another guy that can just be out there for multiple positions.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else for Philly?
Nope.
The New York Knicks are running low on centers. We're going to talk about that right now. Q tag on Josh Hart. Did Sims get finally pulled out of this injury report? What? No. So Jericho Sims is still questionable on the injury report. He's been out
for like 3 hours.
Yeah. But if like I've taken him out since he was reported as not playing for the next week or two, but he has not. That they have not updated that on the injury report. 29% ownership coming into Isaiah Hartenstein, 22 to Julius Randle, still around 10 to Quickly and Barrett. Let's start with Hartenstein. What do you want to project him for minutes? Because I find this to be a very tricky endeavor.
Yeah, it's tough. So he's already been playing a lot, and it's also hard to think that he's playing or that Gibson is playing as many minutes as Sims. So I think being aggressive with his minutes makes sense. I think going like 32 or so is very, very reasonable.
I went 31. I got 32%. My real problem is that I think he's live like to be projected like every other main starting center on the slate.
What do you mean?
Like I think you could very easily go 35, 30, 34, 35,
35,
36 to him. And that is not like we'll find out in a week or two before Sims comes back that was the right way to do it. Because they don't have any problem just running their centers for big minutes when they can.
Yeah, he just played like 39 minutes last game in the game that Sims got hurt.
Yeah.
And the way that I'm thinking about this, we don't know if he's going to start or not, but if he starts, that's a very clear sign he's playing a lot of minutes. But even if they start Gibson, I think it's likely that you're just getting like 6 or 7 minutes to start each half from Gibson, and Hartenstein is playing the full second and fourth quarter, and then half of the first and third quarter. In the 5 games this year without Mitchell Robinson, he's at 31 minutes per game. And obviously that is buoyed by last game where he played a ton, but I don't really know how it goes lower than 30 or 31 minutes at this point.
No, neither do I.
Especially like Tibbs has never been a fan of playing Randall at the 5. And if you, with Sims out, they're basically the 2 ways that Hartenstein plays fewer minutes than you're expecting are Taj Gibson plays more than you're expecting, which it's Tibbs and Taj Gibson, but that would be pretty surprising still. Or he changes things up and he actually plays Randall at the 5.
Randall has played 2 minutes at the 5 this year. So irrelevant. If you add in last year and take off Hartenstein, Robinson, and Jericho Sims, we got 106 minutes of Randall at the 5. 73 of those also had Obi Toppin on the floor. So they're kind of just dueling 4-5s in that aspect. No other center to be found. Like they've just been very loath to do that.
Yeah, and that's been a multi-year thing where one of their centers will get hurt, and it'll be like, man, Randall looks good, but he'll look better if they give him center minutes, and he just doesn't play center.
The amount of people that just have no problem dropping news into chat that isn't right is just staggering. I don't even know where these people get it. I really don't. But
what are you referring to?
I have not seen Turner in. Have you?
Turner's in, Jalen Smith is in, Gordon Hayward is in, Mark Williams is out.
Where did the Turner news come in from?
6 minutes ago.
It's not on my... I have the Mark Williams news. I have the Gordon Hayward news. I don't have the Miles Turner or Jalen Smith news on my screen. In my Twitter feed that has all of that stuff.
I'm going to guess that what happened, maybe they deleted... Nope. So, yeah, it looks like it's still there. But when they tweeted Miles Turner available to play, they said hamstrings. I thought maybe they deleted it because they wanted to say hamstring, but no, it's there.
Like every other piece is popping up on my watch, or I look to my right and it's there. And I did that and it is just simply not there. So yeah, Turner in.
I apologize.
Jalen Smith in. Now, chat, you'll still get it wrong later. Yeah, like Jeremy Savage, you know better. So don't be reading RotoWire garbage. What are you talking about here? By the way, it's not that I was wrong. I've read 10 other things of people being in or out for the rest of chat.
It's not that I was wrong is very frequently said by someone who was recently just wrong.
Yeah. But, it happens. Sean Jeezy with the super chat. Nick's rotation is interesting. Do you guys think we might see more Randall at the 5 tonight, given how few big bodies they have left? I'll defer to you, man. You're the winner around these parts. Right. You tell me. You tell me.
And for me, it's, we obviously just hit on it, I guess, probably as he was sending that. But do you think we might? Yes, because logically it makes sense. But also knowing Tibbs' tendencies, probably not.
Yeah. We also have to think Josh Hart might sit and we create, Quickly's already getting ownership. That'll start to look a little bit better. I don't know what that would mean for Taj Gibson or playing people at the 5, but everybody starts to look incrementally better if we also lose Josh Hart.
Yeah, if Hart's out, I would think that makes it more difficult to play Randall at the 5.
If Hart is out, it's going to become really problematic to get away from a $3,700 shooting guard small forward Quentin Grimes.
On this slate, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you see Kevin Durant's quote about him?
No.
It felt like Kevin Durant had been playing DFS his whole life, probably. But he was talking, I think the context of the question was something about the Suns giving up something to Quentin Grimes or to peripheral players in general or something. And Durant was just like, yeah, what's the guy's name? Quentin Grimes. He doesn't dribble. He has no assists on the season, and we're letting him score.
And unfortunately, we're going to play him if Josh Hart is out. Anything else for the Knicks?
No. Obviously the Josh Hart news is important. Well, actually, yeah, because we really only talked about Hartenstein. I am getting 21% Randall right now.
Okay.
Not expecting him to play much at center. If he does, that would be cool. But Fields at 22%. I'm at 21. That looks fine. I'm getting 13% Quickly. This morning I was getting more Hart than Quickly. I am now around the field on Quickly. I'm not getting much Barrett, Hart, Brunson. But again, if Hart's out, Quickly's going to look better just because there's fewer ways for his minutes to disappear. Grimes starts to look like a thing if Hart is out. But yeah, Hartenstein, Randall are the pieces that I think right now look like priorities.
You going to play any Taj?
I don't know how I can. It's just so difficult to figure out how he's playing enough minutes to actually matter.
16% ownership to Nick Claxton, 10 to Mikal Bridges, 10 to Cam Johnson. I've got scattered amounts of Brooklyn, but I don't see anybody just like amazing. But I'm happy to have some pieces here.
Yeah, you and I talked about it this morning. They're actually a team where the salaries have been dropping recently because they had gotten really expensive when guys were out. So now, even though they're not in a good matchup with the Knicks, they are getting some ownership, and I am actually getting to them as well. $6,200 Claxton pulling 16% ownership on DraftKings. I'm getting to 30% right now. And that will come down if I or when I bump Wendell Carter his minutes.
Yeah,
but right now I'm getting 30% of him. Mikal Bridges, I'm getting 19%. His salary has dropped like $1,300 over the course of the last week on DraftKings. Same price now as he is on FanDuel, so that looks pretty good. He's getting 11% ownership. Cameron Johnson showing up 15% of the time for me. 5,800. Again, guys in that price range are just getting in my lineups a lot tonight. And then small amounts of Dinwiddie and Thomas. But Claxton, Bridges, Cam Johnson, the guys I'm having the easiest time getting to. And for the most part, the field is doing the same.
Yeah, I've got 17 of Cam Johnson, 10 of Bridges. I only have 5 of Claxton, but again, I have 88% of Wendell Carter Jr. and a decent enough chunk of Isaiah Hartenstein that I'm running low on center spots. I am not, however, running low on recommendations to sign up at Sleeper. I have all of the recommendations you could be looking for because they are now matching deposit bonuses up to $500. You should stop whatever you're doing, including this show, and go grab that and then come back. Link in the description or in chat. Anytime that you can get a deposit bonus that high, you should be taking advantage of it. Free money is the easiest money to use. If you find out after you clear that bonus that you don't like Sleeper as much, that's on you. You can go to a different pick'em site. There's a million of them, but you're also going to have way more money in your pocket than you did before you started. You can also get 100x payouts at Sleeper. They have dynamic payouts on the props that they're offering on their pick'em site. So instead of it just being even action like you see at some of the other major sites, they have multipliers attached. You can use those multipliers to get all the way up to 100x. That is massive. If you're chasing those parlay tickets, but you don't live in a legal sports betting state, Sleeper is what you're looking for. And you can start off with a little bit more scratch because of that deposit bonus. There is also a free square. I don't know what that's going to be now. It was Jason Tatum. And spoiler alert, Jason Tatum not on the slate any longer. So if they update that, follow Sleeper and find out. Jordan, do you know if they've done that? De'Aaron Fox, I assume over 0.5 points. So that is the new free square for Sleeper tonight. Use the free square and the deposit match bonus. Click the link in the description or in chat. Denver Nuggets are 4-point favorites in Toronto, 228 total, single digit across the board in ownership for everybody on Denver on both sites. 9% to Murray is the high mark. I have no idea how do you get to Nikola Jokic if you can't get to Joel Embiid. I have basically nothing here.
Yep, same. I had a good amount of Murray this morning. That has since come down to about 5% on DraftKings. He's the highest owned guy there at 9% ownership. If you get to him at 7,200, great. I think he's the easiest guy to get to from Denver, but it's just a pretty unappealing team. Very small amounts of Porter, Gordon, KCP for me. I don't have any Jokic at the moment, which, like you said, I had one Embiid lineup. If I'm not going to get Embiid, it's really tough to get Jokic here. Just doesn't project as well. Same price tag on DraftKings, on FanDuel, different price tags, but also one center spot, so it's tough. Nothing that stands out. Murray would be the first play from Denver for me.
Chris Williams gifted 5 more Stochastic memberships in chat. First one to get one, Sean Jeezy, dude. This guy even wins random assignments of memberships in chat. You need to start playing Powerball. Get the hell away from DFS. When that shit's at like 500 million, man, take whatever you're going to use as your entry fees. I have a feeling you're going to walk away with $500 million. Winning everything. Everything. On the Toronto end, 14% ownership coming into Dennis Schroeder on DK. It's 30 to a 4K Gary Trent on FanDuel. That's a lot and understood, I guess. But single digits across the board for everybody else. I just have scattered amounts, 5% of Anunoby. I do have 11 of Schroeder, but having trouble getting to this game in general. This is two of the five slowest teams in the league.
Yeah, I'm struggling with it as well. Fields at 14% Schroeder, but we only have him with a 7% chance of being optimal. I have 4% of him. My highest owned guy from Toronto is Pirtle at 8%, $5,800 center. Looks perfectly fine. Other than that, I don't really have anything here. It's a little bit of Pirtle, a little bit of Schroeder.
Yeah. It's really just an unappealing DFS matchup.
It is. Which again, like 229 point total, and in 2023, it's just like, yeah, whatever. Who needs that?
Yeah. All righty. Lakers, 4-point favorites in Chicago, 224 total. Malakar gifting 5 subs. I'm going to assume Shangizi gets all 5 of those too. He's going to be covered. We're handing them out to the wrong people. Sports Wiz gets one. That's good to see. Kid Catastrophe gets one. That's less good to see. But we can't have all winners around these parts.
Yeah, that's
Lakers
why
are 4.
You're on the show with me.
Maybe Jordan is such a loser that you and I both. He's our counterweight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, that's fine. Whew. Saved myself on that one. 4% ownership to AD, 3% to LeBron. If one of those two guys happens to be out today, that will certainly change up the way the other one looks. But the Lakers got Gabe Vincent back, and this team is even harder to get to now.
Yeah, I almost forgot who we were talking about because I had looked at my Lakers and then just moved on to Chicago. Because I don't have anybody. If you get to LeBron, you get to Davis, great. Obviously, you shouldn't question that, but it's also not happening for me.
I legitimately think that it's impossible to get to anyone else other than these two guys right now.
I don't know what the case would be for anybody other than Davis or LeBron.
Yeah. Like Austin Reeves is 7,600. He could play 24 minutes tonight.
Yeah, Russell 7,100, same thing, could play.
Yeah.
You know, every player on this team, except for Davis and LeBron, projects for a less than 1% chance of being optimal on DraftKings. Every player except for Davis, LeBron, and D'Angelo Russell projects for less than a 0.5% chance of being optimal on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like if AD or LeBron are out, I think the only other person you're getting to is the other one.
Yeah, most likely. And this isn't really a DraftKings thing either. Like $6,400 Russell on FanDuel is playable. Yeah, he's playable. He's 5% to be at 6% to be optimal. Everybody else is sub 2%.
Like if AD is out, you can probably throw some shares at whatever part of Vanderbilt or Hayes or whatever that you want to look at and hope that that's the guy that gets, enough minutes to matter. But
right.
Or I guess Christian Wood if they unearth him.
I was going to say like hope Rui plays 28.
Yeah. But like you're still just finding like LeBron will look better in that case, but you're still just searching for lottery tickets, which is not what you would expect.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing with the pricing. We talk about, you just mentioned Hayes or Vanderbilt, both of those guys center only, Rui 5,400. Sure, you can throw a lottery ticket at Rui, but what is like, it's not like he's moving ahead of the 100 other $5,500 guys on this slate.
Chris Williams hit us with another 5 memberships. Sean hits us with another 5. Trying to see who's getting them. Okay, put me in the game, Coach Chris. Finally gets one after this lottery of memberships. I know he's going to be happy. He was bummed he didn't get one on the 2 rounds ago. So the right people are starting to get them at least. Love to see it. But that's 5, 10. That's 20 on the show so far. Fun to see. Enjoy it, everybody. We're going to turn it to subscriber only shortly. So if you don't get a free one, bye-bye. I'm just kidding. That's not actually happening. Bulls side. Oh, God. Alex Caruso, probable. Patrick Williams, probable. 15% ownership to... Oh, God. It's getting worse. 15% ownership to Caruso. 15% ownership to Drummond. 15% ownership to Javon Carter. 10 to Kobe White. 10 to DeRozan. I have a gigantic stand on the Chicago Bulls right now. And it's all the wrong people.
It's not all the wrong people for me, but it's a couple of the wrong people.
I have 33% Drummond.
I have 22 Drummond.
I have 14. I have him projected for 14 minutes.
What did I have?
I got to start giving Jalen Smith minutes just to make this stop. Oh, Jorge coming in and dunking on everybody. 50 memberships to chat. Just tells everybody else to suck it. You're piddly 5. Who needs it? 50. If you don't get one after this, you should not play DFS tonight because you are aggressively unlucky.
But yeah, like 14 minutes to Drummond, then I have 22% of the guy.
Yeah. I have 62% Caruso.
I have 31. Okay, you're making me feel better about this.
No, making me feel worse. I have 25% DeRozan. Yay.
Yeah, I have three
Yay.
there as usual. I'm just not playing him, but I have 25% Kobe White. Some things don't change.
Oh, you're fading him?
Oh, I'm 2x the field.
Yeah, but for you, you're fading
Oh,
him.
yeah.
You had 100% a couple days ago.
Right.
Yeah, I have 13 of Kobe White, 25 of DeRozan. I got 2 of Javon Carter. Get me away from this shit, man. I need some sort of value play to show up so like I can cross off most of these names.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about what I have now that I've heard what you have. 31% Caruso, 25% White. Obviously, I'm fine with White playing huge minutes. I don't. There is absolutely sticker shock on an 8K price tag for Kobe White, but he's playing big minutes and he is a better fantasy producer than he's ever been, just based on learning how to shoot threes. 22%
Kobe White's
Drummond.
price today is higher than Zach LaVine's price was for basically all of the season.
True.
Didn't see that one coming.
11% Vooch, 7,900. That's one that I like it, but it probably comes down a little bit once I increase Carter's minutes. 3% DeRozan, 1% Williams. I'm happy to not be getting to this Javon Carter, Dallin Terry shit. Like,
yeah,
I'm good.
I'm gonna have to move some minutes around after this one. Like, do I mind getting Caruso? No, but he could explode during the middle of the game. I don't trust him at all. Like, on the day you get it right and he's closing and you're playing 30 minutes, you feel great. Just as likely to play 20. It's miserable. Revenge narrative, I guess. I got to get rid of that Drummond, though. I'm not going into this slate playing a third of my lineups with the backup center for the Bulls. Anything else for the Bulls? Well, do we want to, like, let's be honest here. What are the good plays from Chicago? Because we're seeing ownership coming into Caruso. I think that's reasonable. I understand why the ownership comes into Drummond. It's not appealing.
I think, right. So, like, Caruso and Drummond to me are good plays in the sense that this slate isn't giving you a lot. I'm getting to them, and I understand why. I'm not happy about it. I want it to go away. But Caruso's 5,100. He's live to play 30 minutes, and there's just not a lot out there on this slate. I'm getting to a lot of guys in this range. Drummond is a point per minute monster. I only have him projected for like 14 minutes, which means like 19 DraftKings points. And on this slate, a 19 DraftKings point projection at 4,300 is fine. I understand why I'm getting there. Kobe White is, I think, a good contrarian play at 8K, just playing big minutes. I think DeRozan is in that same bucket. White happens to be the one that I'm getting. But I'm happy to not be getting Javon Carter or Terry. Like, of the popular guys on the Bulls, even though I don't like them, I do think Caruso and Drummond are the two best.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like DeRozan a lot at 8,100 at just 9% ownership for this spot, especially going up against the Lakers, a team that he probably wishes he could play for before the season ended.
Yeah. Would be better if it was in LA, get the homecoming narrative.
If it were in LA, I might actually want to like lock button DeRozan for this one. We'll see what this ends up looking like a little bit later. So many member gifts now. Malakar added another one. Jorge sent his member message in, said, hit that like button. If you got a sub, you must. I agree, honestly. We're at 300 likes. Should be way more. Chat being ultra generous. And just for the record, the people that are handing out these memberships are the people in chat that I was speaking nicely about earlier, not the ones that I was disparaging. And then Corey Ballmer sent his message in, asterisk, gifted 1,000 stochastic memberships. So handing out the fake 1,000, that looks good. I like that. Atlanta Hawks, 3.5-point dogs in Houston, 234 total for Atlanta. I can't find them. Bogdanovich, questionable. Everybody else is in. 5% ownership to Capella is the high mark. I don't have anybody. And I gave Trae Young a pretty massive bump today that I realized that I hadn't given him over the past couple of days. Still didn't make a difference. 1.56 fantasy points per minute for Trae over the past month.
Does Trae Young on cocaine make him better or worse?
What?
Never mind. You said you
massive bump. I thought I missed the story that like Trae got popped with a little bit of blow at the club or something.
No.
I was like, is that what makes his hair stand up?
Yeah, I'm not getting to the Hawks either. 1% Capella is where I'm at, 7,100. Fine. But yeah, he's the only guy getting more north of 2% ownership here. Tough team to get to.
Seventh in defensive rating, 22nd in pace. Tough matchup against Houston. Meanwhile, for Houston, a much better matchup. a shitty defense, and a fast-paced team. 12% ownership to Dylan Brooks, 21 to Jabari Smith. So apparently I was early to the party for that one this morning. 11% ownership to Jalen Green. I have 27, 31, and 37 of the three names that I just mentioned. Grabbing me some Houston.
Yeah, same here. It's a good spot. Pricing is reasonable. I'm getting the 35% Jabari Smith at 6,100. Happy about that. Getting to 21% Dylan Brooks. Less happy about that, but understand why it's happening at 5,400 in this spot. Getting to 21% Eason, even less happy about that. Good, very good point per minute guy. Have him for 25 to 26 minutes. Like you and I talked about this morning, he has been fortunate lately in terms of just stealing minutes from Jabari Smith, partly because of playing well, partly because of Jabari Smith being in foul trouble. It's made Tari Eason's price tag rise to like the highest point it can reasonably get to in his current role. But because it is a good matchup and because he is live to play 28 to 30 minutes, it's a kind of interesting contrarian play at 9%. Wouldn't mind if that went away, but I guess I get why it's showing up, especially on this slate where I am getting a little bit more balance than usual. It just is giving me more opportunities to get to somebody at 6,100 that's relatively low owned and has a ceiling. Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet showing up 8 to 9% of the time for me. No problems with either of them. Only getting the 3% Şengün. Wish I could get more, but very tough to get to him at center at 8,600 on this slate.
Anything else for Houston?
No, I'm getting to all six guys that the field is. I am even with or over the field on right now on Smith, Brooks, Eason. I'm over the field on those three. I'm even on Green. I'm basically even on VanVleet and Şengün. So yeah, I'm getting to all six of those guys. Do you have any problem playing Jabari Smith and Eason together?
I'm not really getting to Eason, so it's not a problem for me. He's also questionable, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that or not.
Yeah. I'm getting to Eason and I'm getting them together. I don't know that I actually want that to happen. Although, yeah, like they play together a little bit, but like last game, for example, you got 28 in regulation from Eason. Jabari Smith played 23. The game before that, where Eason played a bunch of minutes, it's because Jabari Smith was in foul trouble. That might be a spot. I don't set a ton of rules in NBA, but that might be a spot where I go ahead and just one or the other, especially because of how expensive Eason is.
Yeah, it's not like you've got a free price tag on one of these dudes. I mean, Eason is now priced exactly the same as Jabari Smith. They have played 129 minutes together this season.
Right. Like for Tari Eason,
it's more than I thought that it would be.
For Tari Eason to be somebody that you want at 6,100, something bad has to happen to a player ahead of him. And the most obvious player for that to be is Jabari Smith. So I do think I'm going to go ahead and not do that. Which will probably cost me Eason because I would rather play $6,100 Jabari Smith than $6,100 Eason.
Clippers are kind of hard to talk about right now. We've got a Q tag on Paul George, Q tag on Norm Powell. 8% ownership to Kawhi is the high mark. I have 7%. There's not really much we can do here. If Paul George ends up out, then Kawhi and James Harden both look significantly better. Norm Powell can look better in that case if he happens to play. If they're both out, things start to get really interesting for the Clippers. But for now, it's just all hypothetical.
Yeah, and right now I'm not getting a ton. I thought I would get more this morning. I thought I would get more right now, but I'm not. I have 8% Paul George. That's my highest owned guy from this team on DraftKings. Good matchup, decent pricing, but I'm not really getting much other than that. I have 2% Zubats. I have 1% a piece on Powell, Kawhi, Harden. If George sits, it does make all those other guys look better. If George and Powell sit, then you're potentially opening up Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, guys that usually you're not really excited about, but on this slate would actually be some pretty welcome value. So you do have news here that certainly matters quite a bit.
Luckily, Russ is still 6,400.
Right.
DraftKings seems loath to move that price tag, but I couldn't be happier.
If George and Powell are out, does he become playable on this slate where like 6,400 is actually a really useful price?
I don't know if he's going to get enough minutes. Like even if you give him to 24 or something, you're still talking about a $6,400 price tag.
Yeah.
I think you're getting to like a $3,900 Amir Coffey first, even though that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like Mann's minutes feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think though that 6,400 for Westbrook it's getting scary cheap where like he can just like if he just even 12, 11, 10 triple doubles, like that's going to be really good. Whereas when
they need
like
to keep him kind of high if Harden ever gets ruled out, because then Westbrook is just going to play a shit ton of minutes.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna. That is one thing I was gonna say was, obviously if George is out, you're expecting Harden to take on a bigger usage role. But the way that Harden has played so far as just a facilitator who's not really taking shots, it does make it less likely that Westbrook is asked to step into any sort of big role.
25% ownership to Derek Jones Jr. is the high mark on DK. For FanDuel, got to point it out, 56% ownership to a $3,800 power forward center, Dwight Powell. Very different play there. I have three guys 30% or more here, including a giant stand on the chalky Derek Jones. I also have 30% of Luka Doncic, and I am stoked. I also have 37% of Grant Williams. Less stoked.
Yeah, the only one of those guys I'm getting a lot of is Jones. I have 79% right now. It's a 5K guy on a slate that doesn't have a lot of, good plays right now. So at small forward. So I get it. 25% ownership. We have him with a 13% chance of being optimal. 0.8 DraftKings points per minute for the season. It's the kind of guy where I would really like some stuff to open up so I can just get less. But as is, I understand why he's showing up so much. I understand why he's one of the most popular guys on the slate. He is going over owned, but it's still just one player in a lineup. And I'm not having any trouble getting to low owned guys elsewhere on the slate and just eating that chalk, which, doesn't feel great with Derek Jones, but is what it is. 11% Luka, 9% Hardaway, my next two is highest owned guys here. Getting to 3% Dwight Powell, 3% Grant Williams. I think you mentioned on FanDuel Dwight Powell being a better play because he does have power forward eligibility, which is absolutely true. But yeah, it's pretty much just the Derek Jones show for me. Getting to what Luka I can. The playing time for him is really the selling point. His production doesn't really change much with or without Kyrie. His usage rate comes down actually when Kyrie hasn't played. His assist percentage goes up. So you see that trade off. The point per minute production goes up slightly. But the big difference is that he averages about 35 minutes per game in the games that he's played with Kyrie. He's averaging 40 minutes per game without him. When you talk about just average production for Luka being around 1.7 DraftKings points per minute, you give him an extra 5 minutes on average, and that's 8.5 fantasy points. So you don't need a massive change. And the reason you don't see a massive change in overall production is that Luka's already so involved. He can't do a lot more. It's just not there. So you don't see a huge change there with Kyrie out, but it is the playing time that makes him look more appealing.
If you look at his props for today, he's basically projected for 37, 10, and 10 in a game that could very easily be even more ridiculous. I mentioned it to you earlier today. If this game were against Indiana, he would be very live for a 40-point real point projection, along with better odds to have a triple-double than not have a triple-double.
Yeah. I don't know if it's still there, but I took it earlier. I have under 36.5 points for Luka at minus 105.
Well, I hope you lose the shit out of that bet. 30% Luka. I hope you lose in the first half, like you would have. Well, came close to it. What is that? 2 weeks ago when he had the first half triple double.
Who did?
Luka had like 30, 10, and 10 at the half, and then petered out.
I know I lost
1,000.
I know I lost a Halliburton points prop in the first half like 2 weeks ago.
Final game, we're up against it time-wise, but I don't think there's a ton to talk about here. Jason Tatum out, Al Horford out. 10% ownership to O'Shea Brissett is the high mark. I don't have that one. I've got a bunch other shitty guys around instead. I do have a ton of Drew Holiday at 7K right now, and I don't know why that's happening. But even with Tatum out, these guys don't look awesome.
Yeah, and the only guy that I'm getting a lot of here, I don't think is going to hold. When I ran the stuff at the start of the show, we had Sam Hauser projected for 1% ownership, so I got to 63. Okay. That's purely a function of him just not getting any ownership. He's 5,300. He looks okay, but he's not going to look great. I will be curious to see what the starting lineup is. Like what is your guess on the starting lineup?
Hauser.
Okay. Because if it's Hauser, I think Hauser looks fine. Again, I'm not playing 60 whatever percent, but he'll look fine at 5,300. If it were Brissett or Stevens, the playing time is still going to be volatile, but at least you have confirmation on who's first up. And with how cheap those guys are on this slate, that would open some stuff up. But if it is Hauser starting, I don't think you can expect enough minutes from Brissett or Stevens for it to really be useful outside of just, a lottery ticket, basically.
With Tatum off this season, Hauser has played the most minutes on the Celtics by like a mile. That just feels like the natural slot. If he's not out there normally, then it seems like you just put him out there when he's not.
Yeah, the only counter would be it's the Celtics. They can do whatever they want. But also, like, if you want to keep Hauser with the second unit for whatever reason, and spots.
Yeah, I don't have a great feel for it, obviously. It could be they have 5 different guys. It could be Svi, it could be O'Shea Brissett, it could be Delano Banton.
It could be Keita.
Yeah.
If they
wanted
to play Porzingis next to him.
Yeah. Anything else for Boston?
No, I'm not getting much. Like my next, other than the random stuff coming into Hauser that's going to go away, 7% Drew was my next highest owned guy. Like Tatum being out makes Brown, Porzingis, Drew, White look better. But the problem just goes back to pricing, where Brown was already 8,800 on DraftKings. Like these guys are just so expensive.
6% owned Trey Lyles is the high mark on Sacramento.
They do look a lot better on FanDuel, just to put that out. White pulling 34% ownership, Holiday pulling 35, Brown pulling 20. Like Boston looks like a very good team on FanDuel and not that interesting on DraftKings.
Sacramento doesn't look interesting at all.
They do not. 3% Malik Monk, my highest owned guy right now.
I have 5% of Fox and 3% of Monk. That's it. This should not look bad spot against Boston, even with Tatum out. Not that appealing to price tags, and they don't really mess around. So that is where we stand, folks. NBA Live before lock coming up next. Shout out to Sleeper. Shout out to Jordan Klein, I guess. Shout out to all the likes we got and to all the gifted subs. 2,600 people in here. We're over 400. Run it up over 500 as we head on to Live before lock. Good luck tonight, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Yo, it's that time of week again. Time to induct you fine people into the Hall of Fame here at Stokastic.com and give out this week a lot of free subs up to $200 value. And all you got to do to get in on the action, download the Stokastic profile pic at Stokastic.com/avatar. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. As you'll see, doesn't matter if it's the dime, the quarter arcade, no matter what, as long as it's top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. If you're rocking the avatar and you tweet those wins to us, it's Stokastic HOF. You get a free month of any Stokastic package you want, and of course, inducted into the Hall of Fame. Let's get going. First up, Squirrel 2112 started listening in and using the Stokastic tools this football season. Last night, took down a live final ticket or seat thanks to the whole Stokastic crew. Beautiful stuff. WFFC ticket from Squirrel. And then next up, you've got Carson Shepard. Been listening to content for a while now. Couldn't have done it without the support. Thank you. First place, like I said, dime package, 10 cents to enter into $100. And guess what? You get the free month. All of our tools if you didn't have them yet. Sean Geezy's on a heater again. Took down both 10K mini maxes last night with unique lineups. Shout out to the Stokastic crew for the best tools in the game. Shout out to you, Sean, because here he is again. Best tools and content in the game. You guys are incredible. There was a third one here, but we have too many slides, so I deleted it. But just know, Sean on an absolute tear in the DK streets. Patrick Daly, do I qualify, Lafayette and Josh? I sure hope so. I don't know how many you chopped with. We'll have to look. But nonetheless, some really nice wins for Patrick in the NBA Showdown streets. And Kevin Cutler, another tournament win, took down the piggy bank this time, but they all count. You're damn right they do. Thanks to the usual suspects at Stokastic. Cue the lights, baby, for Kevin Cutler, first place in the piggy bank. Ricky Anthony, thanks to all the content guys. Good Sunday win for me. Hell yeah, second place. Right behind him, man. A couple points, $2,000 though for J6. And hem downstairs, I'll take it. Lineup generator for the win. Lineup generator has been coming through big lately. Took third in the $3 max for $400. And Namdi tied second in the NBA 15K mini max. Thanks for the tools. Namdi again took down the NFL Showdown tonight. Thanks for the tools. Namdi again. Stokastic on that fire. Today again taking down another one, second place in the NBA 5K mini max. So Geezy and Namdi dueling heaters here going into the week. Mr. 586, yes sir, 25 cents. Thanks guys. 25 cents into $500. Massive ROI for Mr. Woods 586. Bow wow, shout out to the whole crew. Content stays good and the Sims tools are hitting well. Unfortunately, didn't get this lineup in the higher contest, but still, nice ROI for the night. Took down the nickel piggyback. Well, now you can get it in some of the higher contests. Bow wow. Jason Jordan split the quarter jukebox and the dime package. A win's a win thanks to the best biz in the world. Willie Jenkins. Stokastic's Datas and Sims tool is by far the best in the industry. Tied second in the $1.20 max contest last night. Another one for Willie Jenkins. Josh of Los Angeles. I love this guy. Appreciate the content, tools, and support. What is this? Fadeaway first place, the quarter entry first place out of 72,000 for Josh, $400 win there. Followed up by Clutch, another NBA quarter jukebox takedown. Thanks to the team. See, the tools don't just work for the bigger contests. We're talking everything here. And Buckwheat, Stochastic Hall of Fame. And again, since I didn't get the correct screen grab last time, can I get an extra month for the 2 in the top 3? But on a serious note, appreciate all the guys at Stochastic. I listen daily. Appreciate you too, Buckwheat. And Mo Terps, is this good? I'd say it is. Little owner's box action. Second place there. And we rounded out with Idea Girl 13. Just saying thanks. Tied herself for third place in the quarter jukebox. Remember, guys, download the Stochastic avatar at stochastic.com/avatar. Tweet those wins. Stochastic HOF. Get a free month. $200 value. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And we'll see you back here next week for another edition.
Here's the thing, Jordan. You can't force a show like we had yesterday ever again. That's not what you do.
What does his sweatshirt
Can't
say?
force it. What does it say? What are you doing? Can I read it?
Yeah, I don't know what it says.
I don't know.
What is happening, everybody? It is Wednesday. It is time for NBA Live Before Lock. And Eric, this is a 10-game slate. We've got a lot of news items. And the thing that I was really waiting on to kind of really determine what a lot of my exposure is going to look like was in the very first game of the day. We have Donovan Mitchell, who was listed as questionable. That is not the case as of a couple of minutes ago because Donovan Mitchell has been ruled out. This is going to be massively impactful for our lineups. Everything I built prior to the start of the show just goes right to shit. It's totally worthless. It means nothing to me anymore. Gonna have to rerun everything. Gonna have to wait for ownership projections to get updated. Gonna have to wait for new projections because Craig Porter Jr. is back in our lives. And he's hardly a part of the Cavs rotation when the team is healthy. But as soon as guys are out, they just throw Craig Porter Jr. into the starting lineup to play a million minutes. Is this just going to be an unavoidable piece of chalk tonight, Eric?
Yeah, it is. In the words of Johnny Cash, Porter, hey, Porter. It's just going to be a lot of him. I mean, they just put him in. And now no Garland. They're still send it in. Jerome is out. Ricky Rubio sounds like is trying to part ways with Cleveland, even though he's still like 3 months out from being able to play basketball still. It's a disturbing situation because a lot of these Cleveland guys, it's never fun to click on like a 6,600 Max Strus, a 6,200 Karis LeVert we're going to obviously be clicking on. But, I mean, there are just some absolute doofuses on the Cleveland side of the basketball that we're going to have to get to, and I'm not all that excited to be doing it.
I mean, I'm more excited than some of the other pieces of garbage I was going to be playing.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
No, yeah, but I'm saying, like, just looking at Max Strus, knowing the kind of basketball player he is, where he has somebody out there creating for him, knockdown shooter. You know, he's bigger than I think people give him credit for. You know, he can play a couple of different positions there, back with Miami, now with Cleveland, but like, it's still not a fun click to have ownership coming in on Max Strus that you know is going to be there. Shooting guard, small forward as well. But he's 6,600. I'm not enthusiastic about that. A 7K Jared Allen, like I have no idea where he's going to fall in the scheme of my lineups here. Isaac Okoro, God forbid he actually shows up in lineups. 5,100 for the worst fantasy point per minute guy on earth. But here we are. Welcome to the slate. Anybody against Utah is always viable, and now with all of these dudes out, extremely viable.
And Jordan, we just got a projections update. So if you wouldn't mind,
that was quick.
Throw that up on screen so we can look at what some of the updated player projections are. And then we'll start to get into you guys' super chats and the questions that we have in Discord. But first, we just want to make sure that we hit on everything there is to know about this Donovan Mitchell situation. And yeah, if you look at what we have projected right now, the overall highest projected player on the team is Jared Allen over on DraftKings. Got him projected for nearly 40 fantasy points, Eric. That is going to make him somebody we're going to want to play. At 7K, Karis LeVert, another good option, project for 34 fantasy points at $6,200. Then we got Max Strus, also right around 34 fantasy points. So we do have Karis LeVert slightly ahead of Max Strus. I'm interested to see how the ownership is going to break down between the two of them. And then we got our guy Craig Porter Jr., also projecting north of 30 fantasy points, 32 for him at $4,400. And if we look at him over on FanDuel, FanDuel has him at 4,600. So fair to say that Craig Porter Jr. is the best overall value play we have on both FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yes, he is.
Anybody else off the Cleveland bench in light of the projections update we just had that is catching your eye in any way?
So in light of the projections update, I don't think he's projecting out well here yet. I mean, I'm looking at some of the stuff here, but Sam Merrill closed last game. Like, Sam Merrill was closing last game. And that was with Donovan Mitchell out there. 4,100. I think there's opportunity for a Sam Merrill to be a little bit more viable. He's a 0.91 fantasy point per minute guy. I really like getting to him on DK just because, I mean, this is one of those spots where they've shown a propensity to give him extended run at times. 24, 17, 17. Obviously, that's mixed with a lot of single-digit numbers, but there's nobody else there in this backcourt. And again, he closed in that game there on Saturday. So it's just something to keep in mind, or not on Saturday, sorry, on Monday against Houston. So pretty wild run out there for a Sam Merrill, but 4,100, that's an appealing price tag, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean, we have him projected fairly well, and he's got the same price on both FanDuel and DraftKings, by the way, at $4,100. Okay. But we've got him projected for 22 fantasy points.
It's really nice.
In today's NBA DFS, where the pricing has been a little bit tighter, they've done a better job of pricing guys in advance of injuries. I think Sam Merrill is definitely a viable guy to get to off the bench. But now the other part,
Jordan Klein, shame to you and your household already. Like, really? Like, been live for freaking 5 minutes and you just couldn't help yourself. Yes, he's exotic, okay? God.
Jordan Klein remains undefeated, as his sweatshirt says. Undefeated Jordan Klein.
But it's feated as FEET, as in something that former coaches of the New York Jets would like.
I'm on Team
Jordan's
Jordan.
A defeat.
I'm on Team Jordan. I think he has never been defeated.
Rex
He is
Ryan
undisputed.
season.
He's never lost a round. He's never lost an exchange. He's the best we have around here. Team Jordan Klein. If that's what the meme that Jordan Klein puts up there says, then that's what it is. No doubt about it. Undefeated Jordan Klein. So I'm with you anyway. Sam Merrill, somebody we should be getting to. But the other part of this, Eric, how many Cavs are you willing to play in any one lineup? 3, 4? It is a 10-game slate.
I'm running. Let me take a look here at a couple of these. I mean, in the back of my mind, I would think that you could get to at least Craig Porter Jr. in anything, Karis LeVert in anything, Jarrett Allen in just about anything. So 4 for sure when you're talking about just like, hey, random other 4 guy that isn't projecting out ridiculously well. What?
No, I thought you said 4 for sure. So I was thinking like, oh my God, he's going to go to 5 here.
No, I was just simply looking to see. I crunched out 1,000 lineups quick and cruncher just to like see like an uninhibited crunch and just seeing if there were any. Nope, I didn't get to any 5-man. So looks like all 4-mans, and that's just running at straight projection, no randomness, just to like get a baseline in place. Yeah, it looks like 4 is going to be the main way I go about it. Or sorry, the cap of where I go about it. 3 is probably going to be the way I go about it the most.
All right, let's start getting into some of the questions that we're getting from you guys, because I see them coming in here in the super chats. And also, shout out to Jorge. Jorge Giacomi gifted out 50 YouTube memberships. I believe that was during the last show.
Jesus
Still want to shout out Jorge for that. So thank you for supporting the show. And anybody else, if you want to support us, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. But Ace of Spade has left us a super chat. Eric, what do you think he might be asking us today?
I'm playing tiers today, so I'm with you. I decided, I was like, we talk about this every freaking day, and the fact that I haven't fired it up is pretty egregious. So I'm playing that $5 tiers, playing like 20 lineups in it. So I just was like, I might as well build out some lineups so I know what I'm talking about. So I can tell you exactly what I'm doing as I pull
Tier
those
1,
up.
I assume, is Luka?
Definitely Luka. I have a little bit of Embiid there in tier 1.
I think tier 2 is kind of hard to say because I don't know what you make of the Anthony Davis, LeBron James situation, but these guys have both missed games recently. I don't think we could confidently say that both of them are going to be in. So if we do have AD and LeBron both playing, I'm going to give AD as my answer.
Same.
In tier 2. But if AD sits and LeBron is in, then LeBron becomes the guy. So there are different ways that we have to potentially play this based on how the injury news goes. But right now, Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've ever brought up defense first position on this show in my entire life, but it's two true centers going up against Vooch, and Vooch confirmed asshole at defense.
That's good, right?
It's bad.
Oh, I like asshole though. All right,
Okay.
let's move on to the next tier where we have, where'd it go? Tier three. That is De'Aaron Fox for myself.
De'Aaron Fox for me too. And not close.
Tier 4, this one is very close. I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard in tier 4, who there's a like Cat, Edwards, Kawhi, Rozier. These guys are all really, really close. But I'm going to go with Kawhi because he would clearly be the option if Paul George is out. And that's news that we're probably not going to get at lock.
Yep, but I have some Harden as well for the same reasons there. Harden is in absolute God mode. And going back to the great state of Texas, where I believe he's a legend with his jersey in the rafters in certain establishments.
All right, let's move on to tier 5. And this is Dr. J, Julius Randle.
Yeah, it's my boy.
Tier 6. So tier 6, it would be interesting to go with Paul George here, should he be in, but I'm going to go with Fred VanVleet. Yeah,
Fred VanVleet going up against Atlanta, I think, is going to be the massive chalk there. So this is actually one that I am kind of hoping that Paul George ends up playing and that I can get to a little bit more there. And then you don't really have a pivot after it. So you're going to have to lock in something at that 5 o'clock. Well, I guess 8 o'clock Eastern time for you people with regular time, 5 p.m. Pacific. So I'm looking at VanVleet is the guy that I would play if Paul George is going to be out.
Oh my, and we just got Chris Williams, our friend from Apple. He just gifted out 50 YouTube memberships. So now everybody's going to be green in the chat. It's going to be green for money for everybody around here. 50 from Chris, 50 from Jorge. So happy holidays, everybody, because we are getting green names lit up in the chat right now. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Next question here from Car Park 3. So Car Park 3 wants to know max 3 Cavs on FanDuel and DK. I think you can go 4, but in most situations, I think 3 is the way to go.
Exactly what I said. Yes.
Yep. Phil Senzig. Oh, you know which question is coming next, Eric. Who will put it in the basket, Eric? Who is the lotion play of the day?
What do I want it to be? What is the category that I'm going for? What do I want it to be? Oh, I know what I'm going to have. Lotion play. Lotion play of the basket might also be the exotic play of the night, Luka Doncic.
Ooh, look at you.
2 for 1 special down at the old, I don't know. It depends. What kind of lotion? It's got to be like, I mean, this might be the KY jelly play of the night. It could be fun.
Bring out the real Vaseline for this
one. We ain't fucking around. Or are we?
Are we? Watch out, Nikola Vucevic, and the comments Eric made about you before. Cap starting lineup, by the way. Craig Porter Jr., Max Strus, Okoro, Wade, and Allen. So we've got the expected starting 5 for the Cavs. Most importantly, Porter confirmed in the starting lineup. He's the best value play on the slate. Chris Williams left us a super chat. In addition to all the YouTube memberships that he gifted out, he said, okay, since this is turning into Sparta, and then he gifted out the 50 YouTube memberships. So we're going tit for tat here in the YouTube gifting there. Chris Topher left us a super chat, said back in the club. Thanks, twin. So Chris Topher, thank you.
That X if you're into taking. No, we're not going to sing that. Back in the club. Well, you can find me in the club.
What do you like to do in the club, Eric?
I ain't into having sex. I ain't into making love. So come give me a hug if you are into getting rough. There you are. That's actually your job. You're the one who's supposed to do the spoken lyric raps at the end of the program in the after 30 minutes, and you haven't done it in a while. You are holding out on your obligations, and I get fucking exotic play nuked every single time we are on these shows. So you, sir, are rapping after this program. Thank you very much. Good day, sir. I said good day.
That was Eric's pickup line to his wife, by the way. He walked up to her word for word. That was exactly what she said. And what ended up happening is, so first she called the police, she filed a restraining order, but then they got to know each other through the court hearings.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, and look, and now they're happily married with a puppy.
With a puppy. Dukers.
Got some more super chats coming in here. This is from Car Park 3. He wants to know, can Eric give his play of the night 5 minutes post-lock tonight, or there's that kind of his thing now?
I give it at the 30-minute mark every show. It was one time. You guys remember everything. And it's like weird because normally I don't remember stuff like this. People usually kind of remember it for us. And then it's like, oh, yeah, that is what happened. It was one time that I was like, oh, I'll give you the nuke play after because it was something that locked 2 hours later. And there were a million pieces of news dropping on like a 13-game slate. So I'm sorry that I'm respectful and trying to give people pertinent information. How dare I?
All right.
Also, my nuke plays don't miss. They don't miss. Kevin Durant last night. Kevin Durant, whose nuke plays do not miss. This MFer don't miss.
As a follow-up on this, though,
Eric Lindquist.
To Car Park's question, can you or can you not wait until 5 minutes post-lock to give out
Sure,
your
I'll
player?
wait till 5 minutes
post-lock.
post-lock.
Question.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll wait. Sure. Sounds good. We won't do nuke play of the night, and you won't have the goods at, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Actually, you will, and then I'll give you another play later. You're welcome.
Aiden Queskin is not going to like my answer to this question. He wants to know, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Here's my opinion on this. Who gives a shit? People argue about the dumbest shit on the internet. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? How anybody uses their brain cells trying to figure out I just could not.
But you don't celebrate Christmas. That's not fair. You can't be the authority on Christmas movies when you don't celebrate Christmas.
First of all, sir, there's a Christmas tree up in my living room right now.
Okay.
I'm the only one at my house. There's nobody else here. I will absolutely be celebrating Christmas by myself next week.
Yeah, you're going to be Macaulay Culkin and up and down the stairs, pulling out a BB gun, shooting over different things, hoping somebody tries to invade your home. And you'll just be
I don't want anybody to invade my home. I want to be left alone. I want to be entirely by myself. That's what we're celebrating.
That's why I live in New Jersey. That's the point.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? If you want it. If you watch on Christmas, anything's a Christmas movie.
This is true. This is very true, except for we are going to watch It's a Wonderful Night. It's a Wonderful Life tonight is the game plan. That's our Christmas tradition.
We got an ownership update, by the way.
Love.
Craig Porter Jr.
Infinity.
Yeah, he's projected for 95%. He's not going to be as popular as he's projected. This is a very high number. He's going to be quite popular. I don't know about 95%, though.
I will probably have more. Oh, God.
Some ownership, by the way. So our 5 most popular projected players now on the slate, Eric, are all from the Cats.
It's a 10-game slate, and we have a guy in Craig Porter Jr. who has an 80.8% optimal percentage in the boom bust tool. Do you know how unbelievable that is?
He's projected for 95% ownership.
Sure is. That's the math.
So here's the 5 players that we've projected for the most ownership. Craig Porter Jr. is 1. Karis LeVert is 2. Sam Merrill is 3. Max Strus is 4. George Niang is 5. And then we've got Jared Allen's 8th. So of the 8 most popular players on the slate, 6 of them are from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes. What do we make of this information?
We are playing Cleveland Cavaliers. It's not a slate that you're not going to click on Cavaliers, and there's going to be at least 1 or 2 of these idiots that are optimal. It's just what the math is showing. And to not have them trying to get cute is pretty ridiculous. I mean, Craig Porter Jr. has a 4% bust percentage. Oh my Lord, I'm about to bust. Like, Craig Porter Jr. is not going to bust in this spot. And if he does, it's in the good way. So 80.8% optimal percentage that we have for him. Ridiculous. Sam Merrill. Merrill. That makes me think of Pokemon. 4,100 for him. We're going to be rotating him into lineups. I mean, that was something that popped up for me initially. Glad that, his optimal percentage, a third of the time he's optimal there. I mean, this is just hard to get away from. We're going to be getting to these guys, and it is foolish to try to fade because of ownership. The guy I'm having the toughest time with is Max Strus, because I just think about the way he plays basketball. The data is dictating that he's going to be overowned. I mean, 13.9% optimal percentage. There's lots of pivots at 6,600. Lots of ways to build out lineups that are contrarian just by removing one guy who's in over a quarter of lineups now. But outside of him, I bet I am overweight to most of these Cleveland guys.
Yeah, I'm about to rerun lineups now that we have that updated ownership, and I'll see what I end up getting to here. Gonna have to run lineups and upload it to the Sims tool and see what ends up popping up here. Chris Williams said, just another show of thanks. Split second in the showdown last night on DK. So just paying it forward. You guys are out here changing lives for the better.
Who can say if I've been changed for the better? Because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
I'm too embarrassed to make eye contact right now. Like I didn't look down. Like I can't look up in my screen or my camera. All this.
Wicked is a beautiful musical, Greg Ehrenberg. Embrace the goodness that is Wicked. Embrace it.
Yeah, pass.
Okay.
That's gonna be a pass for me.
Okay.
Let's go into Discord.
That was lovely. It was a lovely moment. You're crying now. Exactly. It's a beautiful musical. It chills at the end of it.
Douche chills. Absolute douche
Not
chills.
douche, no, like real chills.
Listen to that.
You have to feel something, you broken, sad little man, you.
Yeah. Jordan had to take his cans off his ears because they don't work anymore. You've destroyed him. Let's go into Discord. I'm gonna forget that ever happened. I want to do I need one of those things they used in Men in Black where they erase memories. I don't ever want to think of that again.
It's like me doing shows with you every day. Anyway, continue on.
NBA DFS. But anyway, to Chris Williams, we're changing people's lives for the better around here. All right, into the Discord, and Capanicella wants to know who is one guy that we like in a single entry that maybe we don't like quite as much in a large field tournament. Are there any guys that you would single out as being single entry plays, Eric?
Yeah, I've got it like 40 million of them. And again, that's kind of the Max Strus situation, is that there are, I just pull up my lineups here. Well, the version of lineups that I had before, because I'm sure they're going to change exponentially here now. But Max Strus is sitting in a range where I have my guy Zubats there at 6,500. 6,500. I'm pretty sure that I loved him on last slate and goes for a 50 spot in just 26 minutes against the Pacers. And there are times where Tice is going to come out, knock down shots, and maybe runs into 20 minutes and it becomes 28 or something of that nature here, but didn't end up having to close that game. It was such a ridiculous blowout. Now he gets a Dallas front court that I think you just kind of want to be attacking without Derek Lively the second out there. They have Dwight Powell, who is basically a standing mannequin underneath that basket. He is so horrendous. They're going to have to give Markieff Morris some type of minutes down there as well. You are looking at, Rashawn Holmes, who is the savior of Melanie's friends, just shout out Joey Corman. Rashawn Holmes is at 3,700, going to have to play some kind of minutes for this team. Dallas's front court is in shambles. And you're looking at the potential of having not just Paul George, who's massive there, but Norman Powell out as well. This is just like, I'm just going to play some Zubats. There's so many like these type of pivots that exist on this slate. Again, there's 10 games and they're all in like that 6-7K range where I can make a case for 1 million of these dudes that are underowned.
Single entry.
I'm glad that nobody knows what we're talking about, but it's still like our favorite thing to talk about amongst our group.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, which is none of you, we had a friend of ours had a bet with Eric about how many fantasy points Rashawn Holmes would score on an individual slate. And if he won, he was going to go out on a date with one of Eric's wives' friends. Now, part of this also is that Eric's wife friends, they weren't aware of this. So like they didn't even have input on the situation. Yep. And Eric was going to try to coax them into it.
No, she said she would do it. I texted her. I said, would you go on a blind date if I asked you to? And she goes, of course, I trust you. And I was like, oh God. All right.
Yeah. Well,
so my trust is at stake here too. But anyway.
Yeah. So that would have gone poorly. But then Rashawn Holmes went on a tear with like 8 minutes left to go in a game in garbage time to get over his fantasy point over under by like 0.2 fantasy points.
It was incredible. And so now whenever he goes on dates and people ask him why he's single, he just says Rashawn Holmes and they're very confused. I love that part of the story.
Anything to keep Joey Corman's virginity in check. Rashawn Holmes, you, sir, are the chastity belt of the NBA.
The world appreciates you.
He's a gentleman and a scholar.
But not both.
How about Nuke of the Nighttime?
I'm ready.
We're about halfway through. I know that we had somebody leave a super chat and asked us to wait until 5 minutes to go until after lock, but let's do it. Nuke of the night, which is it's the best running bit that we have in all of DFS. As Eric will tell you, the Nuke of the night has never lost on his accord. It only crushes for Eric every single night. His crowning achievement of this NBA season is his success rate of the Nuke of the night. Eric,
it's so pathetic, and I hate myself.
Keep it going. What is your record on Nuke of the Night this year?
It's been good. Sorry, my voice just went to Charlie Day, but it's been good. It's been very, very good. Today's Nuke of the Night. I mean, this is just going
you
to
turned into Puppet Lindquist.
I did turn into legitimate Puppet Lindquist. Kristaps Porzingis. There's no guarantee that he ends up being on the floor here in this spot, but this is one of those ridiculous spots. I mean, he's going to be on the floor playing a bajillion minutes is what I'm getting at. He's coming off of injury and not on the injury report, but 5.6% ownership here. We have a weird slate where, you have everything turning off here. We're going to have a lot of Clipper exposure, I'm sure, in some capacity if you have PG-13 out, if you're going to have Norman Powell out, and we'll figure it out from there. But Kristaps Porzingis starting at 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific, there is nowhere to swap. There is nowhere to go here. But we know that Tatum's out, and we know that we want to be getting to something here. Jaylen Brown sitting at 37.5 for his current PRA. That's fascinating. That's interesting. But can I interest you in an 8,200 Kristaps Porzingis that I find to be one of the most under-owned, like 8K pieces on this entire slate? He's a 1.16 fantasy point per minute guy, goes up ever so slightly here without Jason Tatum on the floor, and I'm feeling as though he is going to be completely overlooked relative to Jaylen Brown when it's all said and done, and relative to those Clipper pieces based on what kind of news we get coming up later. So I want to carve out a section of my lineups where Kristaps Porzingis, currently in 21% of my lineups at 5.6% ownership on DK, tonight's nuke of the night.
All right, so for myself, James Harden's only projected for 1% ownership tonight.
Wow.
People are not playing him on DraftKings. They're not playing him on FanDuel. Now, admittedly, he's a very thin play if Paul George ends up being in. But if Paul George is out, we're looking at a guy who's very underowned on a slate that now has a good amount of value, and everybody's playing the same value options as well. So how do you differentiate, Eric? Good at James Harden at 1% ownership. And I know that he's priced up now, but we've seen the kind of ceiling he has and that he's had in the past. James Harden's been awesome for the Clippers this year. That's one of the better win-win trades in recent memory.
It's phenomenal. And it was hilarious to me. You make that trade 1,000 out of 1,000 times if you're both teams. You just find a way to make it happen. Gotta say, no doubt about it, 1% James Harden would be incorrect. You want to play him. Hopefully there's some sticker shock at 8,800 for the people who are still haters. Because without Paul George out there, I mean, the guy's a 1.2 fantasy point per minute player. He's now in shape. He didn't have to wear a fake fat suit to try to get traded this time around because he just didn't show up to camp. That's useful. But he has only gotten better and better and better. He doesn't have to share the floor nearly as much with Russell Westbrook, who has started to fade away into the abyss, rightfully so a little bit. He'll have to see some more minutes if Norman Powell's not out there, but God, I'm with you. James Harden's going to be somebody I really, really want to get to, especially because we know Kawhi Leonard's going to get shot to the sun if PG-13 is out.
Yeah, so that's the way I'm going. James Harden going very underowned. And also one other point about his price tag and how it could have a little bit of sticker shock to it. A couple of years ago, James Harden $8,800 would be like, how the hell is James Harden only $8,800? And he's playing like that guy again, is he not?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And, 9 wins in a row, 8 or 9 wins in a row now for the Clippers. And he's been the best player on the floor in 3 of their last 5. The guy is just, if you're watching those games, he is creating open lanes for like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, who, when you think about how good those two are specifically, you give them open looks over and over and over again, and then you surround them with shooters or capable role players like a Terrence Mann, who's still just a young player that I like on both sides of the floor. And then Zoo, who just is getting all these freebie opportunities that he didn't get playing alongside Reggie Jackson. This is a fun Clippers team to be backing. And it's even more fun from a DFS perspective if you get one of those main 3 guys out, because it just becomes like, oh, James Harden, because he's point guard only, is going to be underowned. Let me get all of that I can. So love it.
Super chats. Getting back to the super chats here. And this one here is from Phil Senzig, who is not asking us about a lotion play, Eric. Nothing like that. He wants to know if there's any good parlays tonight.
What you know about parlay?
So you know what we can do? Let's pull up Jordan. Pull up Odd Shopper, and let's go to the parlay builder. Yeah. And we'll see what we can do there. And also, by the way, new promo just started with Odd Shopper. And when I tell you just started, I mean started like an hour and a half ago or something like that. You sign up using
today, Junior. Happened today. It was today. I'm sorry. I talked over you. Apologies, boss.
Not only was it today, though, it was like an hour and a half ago we went live.
It was.
Very, very recent. If you sign up at Odd Shopper, promo code GIFT, GIFT, you are going to get 33% off when you sign up at Odd Shopper for the first time. So whatever you want. You want to do a week, you want to do a month, use the promo code GIFT, and you're going to get 33% off. You get access to everything. Our projections, our Discord, where you could bug Eric all day, all night in the Discord channel. You could bug Eric. You're going to get bets. Look at Eric. Go back to the other picture of Eric. Look at look at that, man. All day you can bug him. You get expert picks. You get the Discord. You get all the tools we have. And also something that's included with OddsShopper is also our parlay builder, where you could build parlays and then you could find out like, hey, what are they projected to be doing from an EV standpoint? So go to the parlay builder here, Jordan.
Let's build on FanDuel in the great state of Arizona. That would be the best place to go do it.
All right.
FanDuel in the great state of Arizona, please. NBA.
Yeah, so let's take out. Is there anything?
Actually, let's go to DraftKings. It looks like DraftKings has a little bit better. It has much better positive EV plays over on DraftKings. A little bit softer.
Well, I mean, we had a pretty good looking one on FanDuel as well, though, Eric.
This has 31% expected value as opposed to the last one, which did.
Right. The other one was still 21%.
Yeah, 24. So I'm just saying, I'm looking straight up off of EV. So I like the DK one more. And then you can change it to leagues. So go to NBA. So AZ, DraftKings, NBA. Let's cook. Somebody cooked here.
All right. So what do we have in here for it's kind of hard to read it on the screen. It's a little
So we got Trae Young. I'm building it right now. Trae Young is sitting under 32.5 points and minus 150. That's a gigantic number against Houston. Houston been one of the slower paced teams, 28th in the association there. And then also one of the better defensive rating teams, sitting at 7th. Ime Udoka, probably an underrated coach of the year candidate here thus far, looking really, really improved here. Obviously, it helps to get a Fred VanVleet, to have more minutes going towards your better players, and the development of Jabari Smith, and of course, Tari Eason coming from the clouds. 13-11 on the season. But yeah, the defense specifically, something that's really special. And they've had a tough strength of schedule in terms of facing offensive players. 4th in terms of adjusted offensive strength of schedule over on dunks at threes. So that's a great first play to kind of have into the mix. I've had him intertwined on a number of cards here today. The under for Trae Young. Really think that's a good baseline for us. Now, if you want to combine it with a couple of different plays, you can remove legs on the parlay builder. I mean, this is something that I do all the time, every single day. And if you're in a non-legal state, the fantasy optimizer does pretty much exactly what you're looking at on your screen for the parlay builder. Just going to be based on how many legs you want to have in that. You'll see that different legs for the parlays are going to pay out and have different expected EVs. But for a sports book specifically, your EV shouldn't get completely out of hand relative to how many legs you have. It should only improve as you put more positive EV legs in. So I love the Trae Young leg. We could combine it with one or two other plays. Is there something that's at the top of the board you really like?
So in terms of the ones that are up there, I do think the Craig Porter Jr. one is pretty, that's a super, super high over under for Craig Porter Jr. I haven't looked because obviously Donovan Mitchell got ruled out just as we were starting the show. And then I didn't really look at what the updated odds were while we're on. I can't believe the over under for Craig Porter Jr. is 7.5 assists. That is a monstrously high number for him. I do like that under quite a bit.
Well, how about Cam Thomas at 31.5, under 31.5, minus 105? This is a guy that, yeah, he has the potential to put up 40 real points at any time, but New York, another really slow-paced team, and I don't think people, if you don't do projections every single day, or for me, I'm basically using all of our NBA advanced stats and kind of using those as a baseline for what I'm doing. And then I can alter things, or I can take a look at other places and kind of compare and contrast and find kind of that sweet spot that I'm looking for. But the Knicks, this pays 97.2 possessions per 48 minutes to throw into the mix there. You have a very healthy team. And I want to throw out one player today that I'm kind of like, I'm not a narrative-based bettor. But Dorian Finney-Smith is 6.5 points. Did you know, Greg, his dad has been in prison his entire life, 28 years, just got released from prison yesterday and will be attending his son's basketball game, Knicks and Nets, tonight. His points prop is 6.5. You're telling me Dorian Finney-Smith isn't going to chuck for dad tonight? I am all about that life here.
I mean, it depends. What was the crime?
I have no idea.
All right.
Google.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. Not maybe the reason I would be betting on Dorian Finney-Smith, but
does he have positive EV? Let's take a look at the positive
shooting
EV
for that. Shooting for that.
Life EV. I just thought it was a cool thing. I thought I would share.
Also, it was because part of it too is did he do like 2 months in prison? Like what was
No, 28 years.
Oh wow, 28 years.
That's what I said.
Dorian Finney-Smith. Sounds like he did something bad.
2nd-degree murder.
Oh. So you're pro murder now?
No, I'm not. It was a dispute that turned deadly. Smith didn't fire fatal shots, but was convicted nonetheless. There you are.
All right, so
I'm cheering for Dorian Finney-Smith tonight.
Yeah, so go bet on Dorian Finney-Smith because his dad killed the guy. You heard it from Eric.
That is not. That is not a quote. I don't. Jordan Klein. Why can't you protect me from shows with this guy? He is a monster. Greg Ehrenberg will take anything I say and he will turn it into a sound clip and try to just roast me forever. God.
I mean, it's not the reasoning I use when I bet on players.
Is he at the top of the positive EV tool? What's his OS rating?
Yeah, what's the I want to know. So people don't know this, but because OS rating, it's pretty vague, right? So there's a number of factors that it takes into play.
I never should have brought this up.
Yeah, no, but there's a lot of things. So the OS rating encapsulates true odds, win rate, and convictions. And there's a certain metric that gets rated based on how many people you've killed or your relatives. So his OS rating would have maybe been a 6, and now it's like an 8 because he killed somebody. It's a really important part of any kind of sports betting model.
Oh.
Let's see what other super chats we have here. By the way, you really got your bang for your buck on that one. Asking about the parlay
End the show. I have to build lineups here in the next 17 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to click a button the rest of the show. Oh my God. I have my team.
Well, Eric's crying. Jordan's crying. We got to bring it together here, guys.
I'm cheering for Dorian Finney-Smith tonight. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we pro murder. We know the whole deal. Car Park 3 wants to know, am I worried about making eye contact with Eric while he sings because he's nervous it'll move him just a little? No, that is a zero concern. Hero or Mikal Bridges tonight? Hero or Mikal Bridges, Eric?
Let's see, Healed or Mikal Bridges? They're the same price.
Hero.
Oh, Hero or Mikal Bridges. Gotcha. I am pulling that up. It is going to be Bridges for me.
Bridges. I am going to agree with you. Bridges for me. Next super chat that we have here, and going to try to get through these ones a little bit quicker here. A lot of 1v1s. We're at 14. Thoughts on Carter Jr., DK play him over Hartenstein? It's hard for me to really get to any meaningful amount of Wendell Carter Jr. He's in some of my lineups, but I don't know what his minutes are going to look like first coming back. I prefer Hartenstein.
Also, don't forget, Goga's played well. Like, you don't just rip Goga off the floor.
So is Wagner.
Yeah, I think they've both played well enough where, do you want to completely remove them from the rotation? I don't if I'm Orlando. So, I mean, Wendell Carter, there are a lot of ways that this play does not go well, but 5,400, it's obviously priced in the ownership is reflective of what that price is and what the potential minutes are, but there's a major potential minutes downside there.
And so to add to that, like, Wendell Carter Jr. isn't a fade for me or anything.
No.
But I don't have all that much of him, and I'd rather play Hartenstein if somebody I like. Weatherman7 has left us a sexy pair sticker. This is a #1 fan sticker, jumping up and down with his finger up in the air saying #1. So there we go. Eric showing off his cleavage. Weatherman7, thank you very much for the super chat. Riley Cooper 14. Jordan, can I see the picture that Eric hates, please? This could be many, many pictures.
Well, dude, I'll help. I'll get the process started. No, it's the other one. It's the one that which one it is. There we go. There's the picture I hate.
God. It could have been. So there's been so many pictures that Eric's hated over the years.
I'm never going to financially recover from this.
So many. all the different promos that we've done. By the way, good promo that's going on tonight, guys. If you sign up at Sleeper using the link we have below, deposit bonus up to $500, and they have a new free square. It is De'Aaron Fox over under 0.5 points. So no brainer. Earlier in the day, it was going to be Jason Tatum, but then Tatum gets ruled out. So De'Aaron Fox, you go sign up at Sleeper. You could play De'Aaron Fox for over 0.5 points today. So take advantage of that. Sean, best shooting guards on DK outside of LeVert, and thank you. Best shooting guards on DK outside of LeVert, Eric.
Outside of LeVert. Like same price range or just like favorite guys that I'm getting to, because Sam Merrill is sitting there too.
I think just overall favorite shooting guards.
All right. So favorite guys to be getting to in that same game environment, Colin Sexton, somebody that at 7,200, does he have revenge in his heart? I do not know. All I know is that he started the last 4 games. There's no Donovan Mitchell on the other side of this one. So, I mean, there is that. Maybe that's like, I don't even think that matters. What I'm looking at is 34 minutes, 35 minutes of Colin Sexton, and that being awfully useful. He went 6 for 17 last game from the field. Got to the line 13 times. That's a little bit of an outlier, but had a pretty poor shooting night and still found his way to 40 fantasy points. That's the kind of stuff that Colin Sexton can provide here. Yeah, this is just going to be somebody that you want to have exposure to, or a little extra exposure because of how much Cleveland you're getting to. I want to get to some Utah pieces. I think he's by far my favorite one to be getting back as a run back. People were asking about Alex Caruso. That's not my guy, but I will say Paul George, if he ends up playing basketball, is at least appealing. Spencer Dinwiddie, playing for Brooklyn here, going up against the Knicks. That assist rate has been a little bit off the chain. I think he is useful, but yeah, I mean, a lot of my ownership tonight, it would be weird to say something that I'm not doing. I have 78% Karis LeVert. I have 42. I need to reduce this. 42% Sam Merrill's too much Sam Merrill, I think. And then Max Strus kind of getting mixed in around 20%. I'm going to be underway with him when it comes to the end of this. But Sam Merrill, I'm probably got too much, probably more than I want, especially knowing that like O'Shea Brissett and a lot of Celtics are coming up later in the evening. And we could have potential guys from the Clippers side of things, not just talking about the main guys that we talked about earlier, but like Terrence Mann shooting guard eligibility, somebody that I would have higher on my radar for sure.
So Colin Sexton, on a scale of 0 to Dorian Finney-Smith's dad, how vengeful do you think he is? Zero to DFS's dad. He's like somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah.
They kind of did him dirty in Cleveland, though.
They did. I mean, they basically sent him off on a rail, said, you know what, we would rather have the guy who doesn't play any defense but puts up 30-something a night because of volume. And Colin Sexton has been wasting away in Margaritaville looking for his lost shaker salt, except for they don't believe in drinking in Utah. So a little less fun.
Next super chat that we have. Sam Van Dam wants to know who's the murder play of the night. That's got to be Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah, it's definitely DFS. He's I don't know.
James Magruder.
I'm cheering for him. I don't know how this got flipped to me. Like, I'm legitimately cheering for the guy.
Yeah, because his dad killed somebody. James Magruder wants to know who our favorite plays are at each position. So I just finished running a sim of my lineups. Point guard is the easiest answer in the world, Craig Porter Jr.
Yeah, I have 100% Craig Porter Jr.
Shooting guard, that is Karis LeVert for me.
Karis LeVert here too.
Small forward, that would be Karis LeVert. I'm getting to so much exposure to the Cavs. It would be Karis LeVert. So instead, I'm going to go Max Strus at small forward.
Max Strus one makes me a little nauseous, but it's probably the right answer.
Power forward for me is Jabari Smith Jr.
Wow. Look at you go. Look at you. Who'd have thought it? Not me. Not me. I will say one thing I really like in tournaments is swapping some of that Jabari Smith directly to Tari Eason if he ends up playing. So keep that in mind. If he doesn't play, Jabari Smith is definitely the answer.
And then at center for me, it is Nick Claxton.
And Nick Claxton, no, it is not. It is Julius Randle, power forward center. He's just behind that of Jabari Smith at the moment. But I love Julius Randle tonight. I like him like every slate, but
Salvo G wants no Schroeder tonight. Denver bleeding points to point guards. No Schroeder for me tonight.
No Schroeder. We play a price. Bleeding points to guards doesn't really matter. Like, there's so many other things that require for context. One, everybody else on Toronto is perfectly healthy. 2, Gary Trent is starting to play better and play more minutes. 3, you're seeing the usage come down for Dennis Schroeder as a result of Gary Trent being on the floor a little bit more. And 4, we play a salary cap game where salary matters. And Dennis Schroeder at 6,200, while I could see a case for him being somebody who can pop the top off of 6,200, it's not enough of the times relative to other players in his price range and the opportunity of other players in his range. I have Craig Porter projected for more fantasy points straight up, so take that for what you will.
Next question is from Orion, who wants to know for a FanDuel GPP is 5,000 left. Should he be playing Kevin Huerter or the murderer's son, Dorian Finney-Smith?
Jesus Christ, lay off a little bit.
That's what the question is.
Is it really?
I got to read it. Yeah, it's the question.
The first one.
Yeah, Kevin Huerter for me.
Come on.
All right, let's try to get through.
Also, Kevin Huerter could end up being the absolute nutties of all nutties. There's news that could break there too. I mean, that's a quiet one. Malik Monk questionable in the late night hammer. Kevin Huerter becomes the main guy that you'd want to get to more of if he's ruled out, because I would assume he would close in those spots.
All right, let's try to answer some of these questions that we got in Discord as quickly as possible, because there are a lot of them. We got so many super chats today as well. So guys, thank you very much for the support. Like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Dancing Elephant wants to know, does Eric's wife carry sedatives around for him just in case? Might be a good idea. I'm going to write her a note about that. I agree. I think that is an excellent idea. Einsteinium, is Karis LeVert just going to get all of the usage tonight? Yeah, probably.
Probably.
NRG 457, pick one. Edwards, Rozier, Brown, or Harden. Ooh, I like this. I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown.
I like Jaylen Brown. I can get down with some Jaylen Brown.
C Love, Wendell Carter Jr. or Hartenstein for a DK single entry. Hartenstein
for sure.
Sniffs wants to know if Paul George is out, is coffee a play on DK 3,900? Probably not.
No. He has like these random games he spikes just like everybody else, but like he's a terrible fantasy point per minute guy.
Next question here is from Mincash Merchant. He wants to know, am I getting to a lot of Brissett? I was earlier, but not really as much now that we've got all the Cavs value.
Yeah, it is very, very difficult to imagine any scenario I get to them now.
Next question is C Love, Bruce Brown and Zubac or Porzingis and Jalen Smith. Jordan, can you pull up the player compare tool for this one? Bruce Brown and Zubac on one side, Porzingis and Jalen Smith on the other side. I think that's going to be Porzingis and Jalen Smith for me, but I want to double check that with the player compare tool and see what it's getting to. Balancing out some of my exposures a little bit here, Eric.
That's chill. I'm doing a little bit of that too. What I guess the best question, the best use of our time in the next 6 minutes is to just talk through our Cleveland exposure.
Bruce Brown and Zubac, and then Porzingis and Jalen Smith.
Mm-hmm. And I love Porzingis. You know this by now. And Jalen Smith is popping in the boom bust tool. I know why, but I do think that there's going to be better value that potentially shows up later, that I probably don't want to get too much Jalen Smith considering massive minutes downside.
Yep. That is also why I downgraded Jalen Smith. All right, so we got, Porzingis and Jalen Smith. That is the 55.8%. So even though we said that, like, hey, we'd rather play other guys than Jalen Smith, Bruce Brown's on the other side of the equation where you run into the same issue with. So Porzingis and Jalen Smith, I like that side of it better. The next question we have is from Tim Lee, who wants to know, what positions are we saving money at today? Point guard. Let me see. What are the other? I mean, if we're considering like Karis LeVert as a cheaper guy, like it's generally point guard for me though. Point guard and shooting guard, backcourt. Next question is from GG123, wants to know Merrill and Rozier or LeVert and Hayward. That is LeVert and Hayward for me.
Yep, LeVert and Hayward.
C Love. Right. Turner and Harden or Luka and Jalen Smith for a DK single entry. I'll go with Luka and Jalen Smith for that one. Then Einstein wants to know Vooch or Jared Allen. I prefer Jared Allen, but I mean, we also have to be a little bit conscious, like how many Cavs do you already have in your lineups? But if that's not really a concern, I'm going to go Jared Allen over Vooch. for yourself, Eric?
I'm going to go. Oh shit! Why am I'm still getting just an insane amount of O'Shea Brissett. Let me see this. Say that one more time for me.
Vooch or Jared Allen?
Jared, it's tough. I'm going to go. I'll go Vooch.
JEW wants to know favorite high-owned players or Cavs to fade for a single entry on DK, Eric. This is a really good question.
That's what I was saying. Talk through the Cleveland exposure before we get to lock.
Yeah, so here is what I have. I just uploaded my lineups, so I am all set with what I'm going to be playing today. The order of exposure I ended up with these guys, it's in tiers. Like Karis LeVert and Craig Porter Jr. on a tier of their own for me. That's tier one. Those are the guys.
Yep.
Then Sam Merrill, because of his price point, is kind of in another
15% of him.
And then I have Max Strus, George Niang, and Jared Allen all together. They are also in a tier of their own. So those are the ways that I'm going with it.
Yeah, and I'm way under on them, it would appear.
So that's the way that I'm going to be approaching it. Now, the other part of this is which high-owned players or Cavs were most apt to fade in a single entry. Probably Jared Allen, just because there's so many centers that could get there. I still like Jared Allen, though. And I'll say George Niang as well.
Yep. I'm way under on George Niang. I'm under on everybody outside of 100% Craig Porter and 85% Karis LeVert is where I landed there.
Next question is from Solvers Are Lame. For a single entry, Randall or Jaylen Brown? Jaylen Brown for me.
Jaylen Brown.
Next question. This one is coming to us from Gelby. He wants to know, is Hart playing tonight? And then he wants to know, do we have any Knicks on FanDuel? The Knicks are not really a team that I'm getting to a ton of. Like, I think Randall and Hartenstein are both solid options today, but it's not a team like I'm going out of my way to get exposure to or anything like that. As for Josh Hart, he is currently listed as questionable, and there have not been any updates.
None.
Next question is from Hef Love. Am I getting to any of Okoro? I am not.
I got 4% Isaac Okoro.
Core DK plays. This is a question coming to us from... Yeah, I have a couple. Not anything significant with Okoro, though. If you're just playing one lineup, Okoro wouldn't be in it. Opposite Exo wants to know core DK plays. Craig Porter Jr., Karis LeVert, Sam Merrill. Luka is a core play for me. Derek Jones Jr. Hartenstein's another one. I don't know how Thibodeau could fuck up Hartenstein's minutes, but he has to play big minutes today.
Yep. Paul George ruled out.
There we go. All right. So Paul George is out today. So, hey, guys, stick around. Post-lock show is about to start, and we're going to have a bunch of shit to talk about that we weren't expecting. Well, I mean, we kind of thought this was going to be a possibility.
Norman Powell will play. Fuck right off. Okay. Cool.
What happened?
Norman Powell's playing basketball, so we're going to want to roster him, actually. That's cool.
Yeah, so Norman Powell is in. Paul George is out. So this is going to be a time where, guys, if you sign up at Stochastic, people have been asking me, how often do I use the late swap tool? The answer is frequently, very frequently, because stuff like this happens. As soon as the slate locks, Paul George gets ruled out. Norman Powell ruled in. We're going to want to reconfigure our lineups a little bit now to make sure that we're getting to a little bit more Clippers exposure. So let's talk through this now, Eric, because Paul George is out, and this has not been the most catastrophic time that Paul George has been ruled out right at lock, but it's still an impactful one.
Yep.
What are we doing with the Clippers now with Paul George out?
So they've been starting Amir Coffey whenever you get either Paul George or Kawhi Leonard ruled out. So I assume that he becomes the guy that you're going to have enter the starting unit. He's a terrible point per minute guy, like horrendous. And so for me, I'm just kind of preloading lineups that are not going to necessarily have him a part of it, even though I'm going to project him to go from like 10, 11 minutes to like 25 or 26. He's 3,900, so like on a later slate, maybe finding some exposure to him makes some sense. I know the evening slate starts, at that 8:30 p.m. Eastern time window, because it's just that game at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time and then the Boston-Sacramento game. But for me, this just creates Norman Powell's 5,400, and that is a guy who goes from around 29, 30 minutes to like 33, 34 You have Russell Westbrook, who's going to go from 18, 19 minutes to like 25. I mean, those are both really nice pieces of quote unquote value. 6,400 Westbrook, 5,400 Norman Powell. They go with the obvious additions of Kawhi Leonard and your nuke of the night, who now looks exponentially better at 8,800, but is definitely going to carry more than 1% ownership because of when this news broke.
So, by the way, just fun thing to throw out. What would you guess Craig Porter Jr.'s actual ownership ended up coming in the $15?
74%.
79.
That's lower than 90, and that's lower than his optimal rate. So you have positive leverage with Craig Porter Jr. right now.
It's a lot of ownership.
I played 20 lineups in that, and I think he was in 100% of them. I know he's in 100% of them.
Yeah,
so I'm happy with that.
I mean, the immediate reaction here is just get more of James Harden, get more of Kawhi Leonard. We do have...
what do you think about Terrence Mann? This is a tough one for me because I talked about liking him earlier, and now it's like I'm a little bit apprehensive because I think I like Powell more. I think I like Russell Westbrook more. I don't know if Terrence Mann like sees a massive minutes jump, like if he goes from 26 to like 30, 32.
I don't... Also, let's pull up because we just saw a recent game where Paul George was out, right? What were those
He's
minutes?
only missed 2 games all season, so I don't think we saw like a recent one with it.
I thought we did.
Did we see Kawhi out? Maybe. I don't know. Let me
Paul,
pull it up.
Paul, wasn't Paul George out a week ago?
Let me pull it up. I know that he's only missed 2. Isaiah Hartenstein's starting tonight. Let's effing go.
Nice.
Finally.
All right. So, by the way, yeah, Paul George missed the game 6 days ago.
Okay, thank you.
So we could just look at those minutes.
This is only his second missed game of the season, though. I know that.
Yeah. Minutes. Terrence Mann only played Terrence Mann only played 20 minutes that game.
That worries me for Terrence Mann.
Amir Coffey started and played 29. Amir Coffey's going to be starting.
He went ballistic, today. And that was an outlier game, if you ask me, but it is what it is.
I tend to agree. So we got 42 minutes out of James Harden, 39 out of Kawhi Leonard. Norman Powell played 36 off the bench. Amir Coffey played 29. Zubats played 30. Westbrook played 19. 20 from Terrence Mann, 15 from Daniel Tice, 7 for Kobe Brown.
Kobe Brown in the rotation.
To the question you had before, it's hard for me to really get to Terrence Mann on this slate, given that information.
Agreed. 3,900, not a good fantasy point per minute guy. Maybe a willing shooter there from time to time, but he obviously sees the largest minutes improvement, but it doesn't even matter when you're talking about somebody who goes from 11 minutes to 25 with his fantasy point per minute rate. So what day was that game on, by the way?
December 14th.
Thank you. I'm just trying to upload something and try to put rates in my sheet. And I think, yeah, because Mann's the one that, I mean, he played a lot to close that thing out. No, he did not close it out. He came in like the 28-second mark, which is pretty wild. Just to come out and have a foul. That was cool. That was nice. He didn't even get the foul off. So there you go. Amir Coffey, 30 minutes. That's still not going to be enough for me. Russell Westbrook, 19, 20-ish, but I'm still going to put him up to around 22. I do think that there's a path for him at his price tag. Norman Powell is definitely the guy I want to get more of. 36 minutes. I mean, Norman Powell, now that he's active, 5,400, that's going to be somebody that I want to roster.
Yeah, Norman Powell, by the way, usage rate, the usage was kind of flat that game. Nobody on the team had a usage rate north of 30, but Westbrook, Zubats, Amir Coffey actually led the team in usage.
That's so dumb.
Crazy.
It's such an outlier.
26.1%.
Like, I know it's a different season and a different set of circumstances with who's around him, but let me just tell you, as somebody who's watched more Clippers basketball than any other team over the last 3 years besides the Timberwolves, I've probably seen more Clippers basketball than the Timberwolves because I've gone to more of it live, but I'm pretty positive Amir Coffey, that is as big of an outlier as you'll ever run into for Amir Coffey. That is not who he is.
I haven't seen that much unnecessary shooting since DFS's dad. A 26.1% usage.
Jesus.
A 26.1% usage rate for Amir
Now
Coffey.
You're forcing it, but I also don't think you understand what you're saying right now. And it's really just, my God.
It's an unnecessary amount of shooting. Amir Coffey, 26.1% usage. Amir Coffey had more usage than Kawhi Leonard, more than James Harden, more than everybody on the team. Pretty crazy stuff. We got some super chats here. super chat. This one is from Phil Senzig. He wants to know, can you do a video for setting up a CSV in late swap? Yeah, so it's actually really, so in the late swap tool, you don't really have to do anything. You just click export, and then you just could upload that directly to FanDuel and DraftKings. I could definitely do it, Phil, or if you're on Twitter, message me and I could help you with it. But it's super simple. Like, there isn't really anything to it in the late swap tool.
Yeah. Greg doesn't do enough VODs or video content, so I think he's due. I think you should do that video, Greg.
I mean, no, I have no problem doing it. I think that it's easy, but as just being on the show, if Phil's trying to figure it out right now, it's incredibly easy to do.
Yeah, it is very easy. And it's awesome too. Helps you with the duplicates, helps you pick out which versions, what changes in terms of expected ROI. It's a really, really cool tool.
See what else we have here. Do we have another super chat that came in?
Well, can we talk about Hartenstein starting for a minute? Because that matters.
One more super chat. So
sure.
We got these squared away. Then we'll talk about Hartenstein. I mean, the answer is just going to be play a lot of Hartenstein.
That is exactly what we're going to do.
His only realistic path to failing is just Tibbs doesn't like to play in big minutes for whatever reason. Like, any centers are out, and he just finds it like, oh, Jericho Sims. Let's start Jericho Sims instead of
39 minutes off the bench last game. Like,
exactly. And it was a game where Sims got
not jamming him now.
Yeah, and it was a game where Sims got hurt. So I think it's a spot where we should just feel super, super confident Hartenstein's playing time now. But Jake Nunley is asking us a 2v2 question: Harden and Porzingis or Randall and Jaylen Brown on FanDuel? And thanks. I'm gonna say Harden and Porzingis now that we have confirmation that Paul George is out. Eric, thoughts?
I'm looking at it. I wanted to pull it up. Harden Porzingis. Yeah, I love the Harden Porzingis. And I love Randall and I love Jaylen Brown. But if you're making me play one, I'm going Harden Porzingis all day.
And for people who are wondering how you get access to the late swap tool, it's part of our NBA package. You can sign up using the link we have below. And our NBA packages thing, it includes everything. Now you get the projections, the ownership projection, you get build lineups on our site, you get sim lineups, all included in there. I lied. We got one more super chat that just came in, and we'll talk about Hartenstein. Pierre wants to know who's in for Tatum. Sam ? And is he in play? Yes, my assumption is going to be Sam Hauser starts in place of Jason Tatum. So last night when Tatum got hurt and had to leave the game briefly, was Sam Hauser checked in for him. So my expectation is Sam Hauser starts. Is that also your expectation, Eric?
Yes, and Sam Hauser played terrible yesterday, which makes me even happier to get to a little bit. He was like 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 from 3. It was not good, not fun to watch.
All right, so let's talk about Hartenstein now. I don't have a lot to add to this other than just play a lot of Hartenstein. He's one of the best plays on the slate.
Yep, I'm happy that I'm underweight to Jared Allen now. That was kind of the deal where I had lineups and I was like, oh, I'm going to get to Zubats because, there's a potential of having Powell out, of having PG-13 out. Well, only one of them ended up ruled out, and it ended up working out for me anyway, because now a guy that I was projecting to play 32 minutes already, 33 minutes. I'm now going to bump him to like 35 or 36 minutes. He's been playing the lion's share of the center minutes off the bench regardless. And now you could just get him started and barring foul trouble or injury, he's going to play 34, 36 minutes. And that is just such a low, he's a good fantasy point per minute guy. Like most backup centers are 0.95 fantasy points per minute. I don't know what to tell you other than just play a ton of him.
Yeah, and we had, just because I think it's something that's important to bring up in chat, is Josh Gillen brought up, why do we think that Hauser is going to start? I mean, Hauser's been the guy that they've started when they've been shorthanded in these situations. And then in addition to that, we've also got, Al Horford resting. But most importantly, last night when Tatum got hurt, the first player they brought in was Hauser. So I think it's reasonable to think that we're going to see Hauser start, considering that he was the first man who checked in when Tatum got hurt last night. And then also we've seen Tatum not miss games this year, but the one game Jaylen Brown missed, it was Sam Hauser that started in his place.
I like Randall and Brunson a lot more than before too. It's specifically Brunson because I already liked Randall, but Isaiah Hartenstein has no usage out there. This is going to be just a chuck fest for Randall and Brunson. Not that it wasn't already, but especially now.
I mean, do you think Hartenstein's going to be a lower usage guy than Jericho Sims?
Hartenstein has absolutely no affinity for shooting a basketball. Jericho Sims was sitting around 10%, 11% at times. Let me see. For the season, I'm sure they're pretty comparable if I'm being honest. So yeah, you're probably correct about that.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think those guys are bad options. Randall or Brunson, and Randall was somebody I was getting some exposure to before as well. I don't think it meaningfully changes anything for them.
I'm with you. I was galaxy braining it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Taj Gibson, welcome to the rotation yet again. This is just the worst. I mean, them get a room, you two. Like him and Tibbs. Has there ever been a couple? Like name a couple more in love than Taj Gibson. And well, Derek Rosen, well, it used to be. Now they've parted ways, but God, he just loves himself some Taj. You can't get away from Taj Mahal.
The only reason that Taj Gibson still has a job in the NBA, it's two reasons. Number one, it's because he played for the Bulls back in the day, and Tom Thibodeau just cannot get out of what he did 10 years ago. And the other part, too, is because Joakim Noah is retired. If Joakim Noah was still here, you can guarantee that Thibodeau would make sure that guy was on the team and part of the rotation.
Shooting.
Yeah,
his like a breaststroke.
His shot rotated like a top.
It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. But you know what? Back-to-back natties at Florida. His dad was a hell of a tennis player. Like life has still been pretty good for young Joakim Noah. It was beautiful stuff. Tari Eason out. That Jabari Smith looks really, really nice.
Yep. I already liked Jabari Smith quite a bit, and that just stays the same for me.
Yep.
Stays the same. All right.
Thought it would change. It's staying the same. Hated to love it. The underdogs on top. Let's go.
All right. Let's make some updates for this, though.
Yep, same.
So in the absence now of Tate, we like Jabari Smith. How much do we like Jabari Smith? And is there anybody else that stands out from Houston Rockets?
Yeah, so Jayshawn Tate, the news came packaged with Jayshawn Tate is available to play here. That doesn't mean that you just run into the same allotment of minutes. I would actually be surprised if we just saw anything close to what Tari Eason had been doing, because Tari Eason confirmed steal in the draft here at this point in time. Looks really, really good under Udoka's tutelage here and had started to play really, really nicely. Dylan Brooks, 5,400. That's not going to show up for me. I would be very, very surprised if that showed up for me. Maybe it is 4,100 shooting guard, small forward Jayshawn Tate. There's a lot of places they can put those minutes. It could go to or to Jeff Green, I think, is probably the other main guy that it could go towards. Definitely 6,100 Jabari Smith probably gets goes from 33 to like 35 minutes. Jayshawn Tate, I'll take from like 15 to 20. That'll probably put him into the range of play, but God, there's also a massive minutes downside for him. He's a 0.77 fantasy point per minute guy. It's not all that appealing. Probably not much ado about nothing outside of Jabari Smith.
Maybe a slight benefit to Şengün if they're going to be forced to play bigger lineups, but Şengün not really any kind of real priority on the slate, but yeah, Jabari Smith's a guy who's about to wind up in a lot of my lineups.
Yes.
He's about to wind up in a lot of my
lineups. Between him and Hartenstein, I hope you guys stuck around because those aren't exactly guys that I was like jamming in any meaningful way until this moment in time. And also, we have Clipper value that did emerge. We had a lot of really good stuff here. The one guy, I just put Jayshawn Tate in for 20 minutes. I'm going to get to like 16 fantasy points for him, and that's really not going to get me to him. So that was the one piece of value I thought we might be able to mine out of it, and I'm not going to get to him.
What did you end up getting to from the Clippers? I'm still working on updating my lineups. I don't know where you're at with it.
I just finished up just about everything. So I do think that there's a pretty... I think the range of outcomes for some of these guys is a little bit wider, especially because we're looking at one game, one box score, and that does not create the entire story. Like obviously Amir Coffey was knocking down shots last time. I think that there are, we'll see where the ownership lands here too, because that's going to change for me in the next 10 minutes. But I got a version of my lineups in. I got to a lot of Norman Powell, and I'm not sure if that's something that's like a popular take. He was projected for 29 fantasy points here. I have him for a lot more than that. I've got him at 33.5 fantasy points. I put him in for 36 minutes, and I'm just going to get to him in a massive allotment of my lineups. Russell Westbrook, I put it for 24 minutes. He's starting to pop up for me. I got 15% of him. Avika Zubats, I got 7% of. James Harden, I got 22% of. And Kawhi Leonard, I got 29% of. So it's been pretty wide ranging there. Terrence Mann, I thought I would get quite a bit of, but again, he doesn't seem to me like he's going to be getting any kind of a noticeable minutes bump. I think most of those just go to Amir Coffey, but because he is a baseline 0.51 fantasy point per minute player, I cannot do that to myself. I just refuse.
Yeah, I'm about to. So every time I'm about to upload my lineups
Something
to
changes,
the late swap tool and change it, like something that's like, oh, Hartenstein starts. Oh, Paul George is out. Oh, Tari Eason's out, and so it just constantly changes to where I haven't gotten
Bruce
to do a
Booth, $4.99. So keep updating your stuff. He wanted some super chats here. DK, Porzingis, Hauser, or Powell and DeRozan. I think that's an interesting one because I like Powell, and I think DeRozan's kind of an underutilized piece on today's slate. However, there's so many players that look like him, and Hauser, I think, is the guy who starts, and I love Porzingis already, so I'm going to the first one on DK. How about you?
I am going to go with, Porzingis and Hauser.
Not that I'm in love with Hauser by any means.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Porzingis and Hauser. I think there's more upside on that end of it. I have not played very much of DeRozan lately. When Levine first went out, I did, but Kobe White. How did Kobe White become this dude all of a sudden? Kobe White has been not like totally terrible, but he's been a guy who's been, like a little bit of an underperforming first round pick. He's shown some flash at times, but he's been really inconsistent. Now Kobe White, like every night, he's like 30 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, something.
Kobe
totally
White,
ridiculous.
you mean? Oh yeah. He's been ridiculous. He's been out of control. And
But
he's
the
up to
point I wanna
8K
make
and like
about it-
legitimately very verifiably insane. Like he's crazy.
And how that impacts this question is because it's really taken away from what I thought the upside of DeRozan was going to be when Levine first got hurt. So Porzingis and Hauser. And then Olrat 14 asked us, go down from Jabari to Powell to get Capella or Zubats over Claxton for DK Cash. I think you want to play Jabari Smith in cash.
I think you want to play Jabari Smith for sure in cash. And I like Powell. I think Powell's going to end up being my highest leveraged play, if that makes sense. Like, I think the field is really low on Norman Powell for how many minutes he could end up playing in this spot and what that usage could be with, Kawhi and James Harden, we assume the usage is already there. James Harden's going to be out there passing, though, for sure. And Norman Powell played up a bajillion minutes in that last time, but like, I think now that he's healthy and playing, like that's going to be where the majority of these minutes go. I'm going to get him in a large allotment of lineups. I would have him cash considerable, but like Jabari Smith is going to be higher owned at cash and probably should be.
Yeah, and he was somebody I already liked, and now just, even more so with Tari Eason out. So I think that's a way to go. Let me see if any questions came in after lock. And Shalumpas and Chicken said, yo, what's up, you guys? 2v2 swap on DraftKings, Sam Hauser and Norman Powell, or Jabari Smith and Dorian Finney-Smith? Sam Hauser and Norman Powell, or Jabari Smith Jr. and Dorian Finney-Smith, Eric?
The first one.
I don't like Dorian Finney-Smith tonight.
Yeah, I don't. I like his 6.5 points prop. That's very different than liking him for DFS.
Yeah, it is a very, very low prop. Not talking about like the joke end of it. Like 6.5 is just a very low number. And also, if anything, a 6.5 point prop is like a pretty good indication to not want to play somebody in DFS.
Correct.
JEW wants to know, does Eric have any Snow Bunny love for Zubats now? Zubats somebody you like more now that
Snow Bunny love? We're now just going to call them Snow Buddies. We're just going to keep playing all the...
It does feel a little derogatory.
I was going to say, I don't know. It doesn't seem very nice, but I have a little bit of him. I said I have a little bit.
It's hard to prioritize him. There's too many centers.
Fact. To like especially now that Hartenstein is starting. Hello.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, this is going to get really, really wonky. I'm worried I have too much Norman Powell. I have so much Norman Powell. I have 65% Norman Powell. That's too much.
Finish, yeah.
You don't think so? What's his ownership going to get to? What?
Well, it's if that's a stand that you want to take, though, Eric, I don't really think that's a problem. And I assume you're playing 20 lineups, right? So that's
I'm playing 40 tonight.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot of him, I think. I played 20 in the 15 just to screw around. I don't know. Normally I would play single entry on tonight, and then I would play like a bunch of lineups in the $8. I love that $8 to win 10K with like 4,500 entries. I've been playing that more and more, but let's see.
Hef Love.
I just don't see a.
I'm gonna answer. So we got a bunch of questions here. So I'm gonna
start. Keep firing them. I'm talking to myself, just trying to hammer this out.
Hef Love wants to know Randall and Zubats or Brissett and Luka. That's Randall and Zubats for me.
Definitely.
Clyde wants to know who benefits if when Hartenstein gets 3 quick fouls. I mean, I guess Taj Gibson.
Don't you say that. Shut your fucking mouth. No, we will not have that juju when I have 78%. There's so much of him. I have 44 lineups. I have a lot of him. I have a lot of Hartenstein. Don't you dare. Don't you say that. Don't you ever say that. Cherish it. For the love of God, cherish it.
Yeah, look, you've given Eric a nervous breakdown. Don't do that. Super chat from Car Park 3. He said, "Hey, it's 19 minutes after lock. Isn't it time for Eric to give yesterday's lock of the night?"
Oh yeah, yesterday's. You know, it'd be funny is if I gave it from the game that just locked. Did I just react to the box score? That'd be pretty funny. Who am I locking now? Did somebody say Laurie Markkinen was going off in chat?
Probably Craig Porter Jr. I hope Craig Porter Jr. Anyway.
I hope so too. When we pull this
out. Nice. By the way, every single player is doing well on the Cavs so far. We're 5 minutes into the game. Craig Porter's 4 points and an assist. Max Strus has 3 points, a rebound, and an assist. Jared Allen's 8 points and a rebound. Dean Wade has 3 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. Isaac Okoro has a rebound and 3 assists. So still start of the game. So LeVert hasn't checked in yet.
Colin Sexton, quick seven for our dude.
Oh, that's right. You're on Sexton.
I am on
did
Sexton.
At one point. Who even knows how to change it at this point?
Share down. I need you to get off the floor. Oh, he just had a foul. That's helpful. Oh, and then he got a rebound. So that's not helpful. Anyway, we're going to stop doing that. We're going to get this updated as fast as I humanly possibly can. There's just a lot of very nuanced things to change very, very quickly.
It is. And I wouldn't even call them nuanced. I would say that they're big, huge, important stuff.
Yes.
Mr. Cool Cam, 2 favorite centers on FanDuel. Overall for the slate, probably Jared Allen and Isaiah Hartenstein.
There you go.
Next question here was from C Love. He wants to know Hartenstein and Porzingis or Harden and Caruso. Hartenstein and Porzingis.
There you go.
Let's see. Anything else? Somebody asking who I am. And all right, we're all caught up on those questions unless something else.
Whoever you are, I am.
Who would have known that one of the best quotes in sports ever came out of bowling?
It's so good every time.
Hey,
who do you think you are? I am.
And what was the guy? Pete Weber?
Pete Weber. That was him. That guy definitely did drugs.
He was cool, though. As are most people who do drugs, though. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
you guys want to go get up? Want to get high? Don't forget.
Did you skip it, Tara? No. Yeah.
Hayes Stable wants to know Jabari Smith or Hartenstein. Only one spot left. Hartenstein. Next question. Steve G. Derek Jones Jr. and Randall or Powell and Porzingis. I feel like getting some iterations of the same people getting asked to us pretty frequently here, but that is going to be Derek Jones Jr. and Julius Randle for me.
Yes.
By the way, I have 16% of Norman Powell in my lineups, Eric.
I have too much. I'm trying to scale it down in the next 5 minutes before lock of this next window of games. Mainly, I'm just trying to get my Knicks exposure under control because I have too much quickly. I have so much Hartenstein. I am giving myself an ulcer. It's fine. It's fine.
Let's see if we got any other questions. Daniel Buffington left us a super chat. He wants to know, who are these studs that we're getting to? Luka for me, predominantly. Let me upload my.
Yeah, I'm getting to a lot of Luka. Luka's. Yeah. I tweeted this out earlier, and it got quite rave reviews, and I'm on the under, but 57.5 PRA. Do you know how dumb that is for a game on December 20th and Wednesday, and not a game where it's like we're predicting Luka to play 46 minutes in the playoffs? It is absurd that that's like an efficient or like a number that's like, I'm going to be slightly on the under, but like there's a lot of iterations where I still want to get to Luka on this slate.
If Luka has 35 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists, that would be the under on his PRA.
Incredible.
Not only would it be the under on his PRA, but his assist prop is 10.5, if I'm not mistaken. His rebound prop is 9.5, and it's like plus 120 on the under. Last I looked earlier, it's just like crazy high numbers.
It's so wild how good he has been. It is just absolutely insane.
He is my favorite pay up option on the slate, Daniel. So it's like number one, Luka, and then the next tier of guys. There's James Harden, there's Kawhi Leonard, there's Julius Randle, Jaylen Brown. There isn't somebody who's super expensive that I'm getting to outside of Luka in any kind of meaningful way, though. Like, I don't really have Embiid tonight. Don't have Jokic, don't have AD, don't have Halliburton, don't have LeBron. So if you're looking above 10K, the only guy that I'm getting any kind of meaningful amount of exposure to is Luka. He's the only one I have more than 10% of.
That is correct.
How about past Luka? Who's like the next tier pay up option you get the most of?
Kawhi Leonard, 28%. Like that 8K is where I'm landing a lot now. Like Julius Randle, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Şengün. I'm just getting to that range way more than I'm getting to the top tier. Although I have 12% Luka, so that's cool. I can't get to more Luka, I don't think, on this slate. I played 100% Craig Porter, and I still find it difficult to get to Luka on this slate, which says something, because I always try to find my way to get to Luka on those kind of slates.
All right, let's look at some of the updated scoring from our Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, Eric.
Our Cleveland Cavaliers.
who have just gone to the bench for the first time. So Karis LeVert, George Niang, and Sam Merrill all just checked in. So we're going to see their first action. Nothing really of note yet. But
Merrill for 3.
Oh, did Merrill hit a 3?
Just did, yeah. Max Strus just ran somebody over like an idiot because Max Strus is an idiot. I need him to go way under. I have 8% of him, so that's the only guy that I shorted.
Nice. Oh, by the way, quick start. Karis LeVert in 2 minutes has a rebound, 2 assists, and a steal.
That's daddy. Karis LeVert is daddy. We need Karis LeVert to be daddy. 85% Karis LeVert, 100% Craig Porter Jr. Let's go. Yeah,
probably need Craig Porter Jr. to play well also.
Probably useful.
Probably. All right. Let me make sure that there aren't any questions that we missed out on because the show is just
George
about
Niang
done
had a good
here.
start.
Just about done here. Any questions in Discord we missed? No super chats we missed either. All right. So we're all square away. Guys, thank you very much for watching. If you've not done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for anything at the site, use the links below in the description box. We've got a link to sign up for all of our NBA tools down there. If you want to take advantage of our bowl promo, get 50% off on our college football and college basketball packages. That's bundled together. And we got Odd Shopper. That is 33% off for the holidays. So got that link below, promo code GIFT. So guys, if you haven't done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck with all your lineups tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace out.